Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 221. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V.
We're getting closer to that 227 that you love so much.
Oh, my gosh, Jackie! I think at one point when we were talking about that, we were wondering if we could get Jack A for a guest appearance. And
you thought we could. I don't think we can. She's still doing some things. She's still got some series somewhere we looked up. So
yeah, it's another version of Hollywood Squares. I think she's available. So Jack A, if you're watching or listening right now, this is an open invitation. Come 227. We'd love to have you. Again, Terry Miller along with Johnny V. We're here in Milwaukee. This will be my last time in Milwaukee for a few weeks as I'm about to hit the road. We've got some great stuff coming up, including this weekend. I'm going back to Arizona. I sometimes wish I was had some kind of property there.
What are you doing there?
I think we're going to do a little bit of action on Friday and Saturday. We're going to be covering the next-gen finals, the championships that's taking place. So I'm going to be covering that on Friday and Saturday, putting out some post-produced highlight packages, highlight reels, those types of things, just like we did out there last year. And then come Sunday morning, I think there's going to be more golf. And then Sunday mid-afternoon, there's maybe a semifinals with I lose track of all the numbers. I want to say maybe they're down to 16 people playing 9 holes, and then after that, they're down to just 5 people that will play the remaining 5 holes. And
5 or 9?
9 holes, so thank you. 9 to 5. So what that means is that we're going to be giving you essentially 18 holes of live golf, just like we did last year, except last year, how many holes was it instead of 18?
Oh, geez. Did they go to 5 or 6?
Hole playoff?
Extra hole
Plus,
playoff?
I think there was a playoff from the semifinals into the finals. I believe there was a 1 or 2 hole playoff there. So I'm not sure if you're going to get all that bonus coverage or if that's going to happen or be needed, or if someone like Chris is going to need to make a comeback of 12 strokes throughout the weekend. But so the next generation finale taking place this weekend, a culmination of the entire year of action taking all around the country, and I believe a little bit of an international flavor to it. Also on Saturday night, I will be doing some interviews, probably with some of our up-and-coming superstars, maybe some of the contenders, maybe some of the not-so-contenders. But last year I had a really, really good time. We were, I believe, just outside of Euro Pizza. Shout out to you guys. Love your calzone, just saying. But it was a really good time, and we're looking to do more of that this weekend. So really excited. Dave Feldberg, Pat, Colt, the whole crew, excited to be out in Fountain Hills for the weekend. And then Sunday night, just like last year, I will hustle from Fountain Hills to try and catch my plane, but this time it's a little bit more critical I catch it. I'm taking a plane from Phoenix over to LAX.
I remember last year, like the playoff was great, but you were actually getting really nervous. You're like, no, like I got to go, bro.
Yes, there was with that playoff, it kind of pushed everything back a little bit. But this time I need to get out of here because I'm then going to go from here, or from Phoenix, I should say, over to LAX. I have a 10:30 flight with my good pal Johnny Rumble, and we fly from LAX straight to Sydney. So super excited. Jam-packed weekend. A very, very blessed individual. I get to go from someplace like Fountain Hills over to Australia all within a few days.
Yeah, I would say so.
So that's what we're at. This last weekend, things a little bit calm out on the PDGA circuit, at least in terms of really big events. Mm-hmm. Things, dare I say, are starting to slow down a little bit.
No A tiers this week.
Not a single one. That has to be a record.
Not a single one. We see a bunch of B tiers that were out there, a C tier, XC tiers. Yeah. Next week, we've got a couple A tiers, but nothing really going on this week.
Wow. Okay. So is there anything that you want to report on? I know the Spike Heiser has usually been a pretty big event. I know that we've been out there at Rocky Mount. I've actually filmed out there.
It's a big event and a big name. So Spike Heiser Barkbuster Bonanza 7, driven by Innova with support from Rocky Mount.
Okay. Yes. All right. I was in Rocky Mount to film that event a number of years ago, but what did we see out there this weekend?
In the open field, Dan Hastings, rated 1,011. Beats Lance Brown by 4 strokes, and then Lance Brown beats Philip Bartholomew. that should be an easy one. Come on, John.
Mhm.
By 6 strokes. So Dan Hastings wins. There's no amount on how much he won. I'm sure it was about
$1 million.
close to. I think
$2
it's
million.
1.2.
1.2.
1.2 million.
Okay. He does things right there. We love you over there, Chuck.
We know Chuck. He knows how to bring in those sponsors. So ultimately, Dan shot a 10.29, a 9.68, and then a 10.12 and a 10.25. So a little trip on that second round, but ultimately was able to pull it in. There didn't look like there were any women. There was Pro Masters field. I think racking up his 652nd win.
Might be 653.
I always lose track because sometimes he plays non-sanctioned ones, and he likes to text me after every win.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure he does everybody.
Yeah.
his whole phone list. Brian Schweberger rated 1,005. He crushed the field by, it looks like, about 26 strokes. And wins handily. So congratulations, Mr. Schweberger, shooting 10.12, 10.22, 10.56, and then coasting in with a 9.89. Easier said than done, clearly.
Okay. Well, that's about what we saw. We're going to have a pretty good show for you here tonight. In just a few moments now, any second now, we're actually going to have Steve Dodge from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He's going to be joining us. Actually, we're going to be dialing him up right away. Steve Dodge will be joining us, and then after we talk with Steve, we'll head right into the 2019 Disc Golf Pro Tour with a conversation with Keith Murray. Keith Murray, of course, over at the Memorial. Keith's got some updates and details for us over from the Memorial, so we'll catch up with him. And then, if she's available, and she said if it's not too late or past her bedtime, we're going to have Alyssa Van Lanen, disc golf tourist extraordinaire and film, video, photography, multi-talented Alyssa Van Lanen. She's going to join us, talk about some exciting things they have going on, her, Paige Pierce, and some other endeavors.
They're all over. Those two are inseparable.
They're going international, and that's one of the main reasons.
So are you.
Well, I know, but she's going international a few weeks after I am, and I want to catch up and find out all of the details.
Way to show her up. I'm gonna be international first.
All right. Well, I think we're going to welcome Steve Dodge, Disc Golf Pro Tour, coming at us. Steve, you there, buddy?
I'm here. Hello there, guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Steve, that's a goofy-looking library.
It's 10 o'clock, Terry Miller. The libraries are closed.
Oh, okay.
You're not just like hanging outside the library hoping to leech off some Wi-Fi? Because I've seen Terry do it.
I have.
I know you have.
I've done that in Florida.
Elementary schools as well. I've seen you. I've heard of you doing that.
In San Francisco, I think they closed the internet because they were afraid we were going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So glad you could join us. Like you said, it's about 10:10 your time on the East Coast. Steve, here at Smashbox, I think we pride ourselves in knowing and sharing and providing some of the most exclusive news and updates in all of disc golf. And there's a very special update and exclusive that you're going to provide to us tonight. What do you got for us?
That's true. I don't know that I would use the word special.
It's special. Depends who you ask.
It depends who you ask. I would go ahead and say it's a relatively difficult conversation, as a matter of fact, and a difficult decision that the Pro Tour had to make. We're looking at rolling out our 2019 media plans over the course of the next few weeks. And the first part of that rollout is going to be talking about the live broadcast. And one thing that we are going to be doing, as we discussed yesterday, or maybe that was 2 days ago, my days get a little bit confused here, is we're going to be moving on from Smashbox for the live broadcast.
Now, did you not hear our opening where we talked about possibly bringing in Jack A as an asset to us? No,
I did not hear your opening.
Okay, well, that's your first problem. All right, so when you say moving on, what? So many questions. We have questions. The internet has questions. What's the game plan?
What does, explain it to the audience, what does moving on mean?
So what we're planning on doing is we're planning on bringing the live broadcast production in-house and hiring someone to do the production who has that as their full-time job and would be able to create efficiencies and create professionalism in the product that we put out to the audience.
Is it Fulcrum Media?
We have talked with Joshua at Fulcrum Media, but no, we're not looking to bring on Fulcrum Media. That is not currently the plan.
Is the position, is this going to be a Pro Tour employee, or is this an outside source you're bringing in?
We would like this to be a Pro Tour employee. We would like to bring as much of the media in-house as possible. One thing that has happened throughout the season, as we've all seen, is we have a live broadcast crew, and we have an edited crew, and we have another edited crew, and sometimes we have another edited crew. And what we'd like to do is have all of these people on the same team working together. And for example, right now we have 5 cameras on MPO1. I'd like to limit that. I'd like to have 3 cameras on MPO1 and put a couple of extra cameras on MPO2 so that we can always have 3 cameras on MPO2. I'd also like to get some extra cameras on FPO1 because one interesting thing, and Danielle pointed this out to me probably a month or 2 ago, if you look at some of the highlights of the women's shots and the men's shots, the one that jumps out to my mind is the MVP Open, Sarah Hokum on hole 13 and Nate Sexton on hole 13. They both have tremendous drives. And Sarah Hokum's drive, because it was just being filmed with one camera, Chad wasn't able to do a tremendous zoom. And you just kind of see the disc disappear in the maw, and you think it's real close to the basket. It turns out it was right next to the basket. And then when you look at Nate Sexton's, you see his drive, and then they switch to the catch cam, and it lands right next to it, basically exactly where Sarah Hokum's does. And it looks like an insanely great shot. And because we weren't able to provide equity in the camera crews, the women's, I'll go ahead and say, while they got coverage, they didn't get as good a coverage. So what we want to do is create efficiencies in our media team and have everybody work together and be able to provide excellent quality on MPO1, MPO2, FPO1, and the live broadcast. The other side of that is when Paul Macbeth at Idlewild makes a run from MPO2 and isn't covered on, obviously isn't covered if you're only covering MPO1, it creates a very awkward story where the people covering MPO1, I think that was Jomez at Idlewild, want to talk about the fact that somebody else is coming up and about to win, but the guys covering MPO2, which I think was Central Coast in that case, don't want them to. So it's what we want to do is put everybody on the same team, and this is part of that strategy.
As you can imagine, there's some board messages going around. Someone asks, Zach Pajak asks, does that mean that you're not going to be using Jomez or CCDG as well? Are they going to come on the team?
That has yet to be determined. We have a proposal to Jonathan, and actually Corey was texting me a few days ago asking exactly what the plan is. But we have a proposal out to Jonathan, and we're waiting to hear back. He's told us conceptually what he wants to do, and we have to see if that'll fit.
Okay.
And as you're talking about cameras, and I know it's something that we've talked about at great length throughout the last few years, in terms of being able to have potentially a reduction of cameras on a particular hole, and we'll use lead card, MPO as an example. If we have a throw camera and a catch camera, and then to have someone like a Jomez or a Central Coast with their throw, catch, and usually now reactionary camera, if you consolidate that to potentially having a throw and a catch camera, it's fair to assume that your plan is then to have the live feed and footage be able to capture that in a live capacity, and then also take that footage and then later put that together for the post-production. Is that Is that where you're trying to reduce a redundancy? If that's a thing,
reduce
a redundancy.
For sure, that we want to reduce redundancy. We're going to have a reduction sauce of reduced redundancies. And in addition to that, maybe even bring in some MPO2 into that edited coverage as well, if it applies. But that's actually a really sticky wicket, trying to figure out the best way to take all of that footage and put it together. But in essence, yes.
When you're looking at FPO, I think back to a few weeks ago, we were all at the PDGA Summit, and and I can't say you broke down all of the tremendous numbers that we've seen in the growth take place from both the FPO and MPO side in terms of live viewers, in terms of post-production, so on and so forth, views, hits, all those types of things. It was at that point when you had made the commitment to saying, I want FPO to be covered live, and then MPO1 and MPO2 to be covered live. What kind of expansion? I mean, Johnny and I have an idea in our head at least, but that sounds like a significant expansion in terms of just overall people and cameras and budget.
So I think what we're planning on doing is I'm going to be running the switchboard and one of the cameras, and what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to be on catch cam. So if there's some lines that aren't painted, I'll be able to paint them real quick.
That's a good call.
But in all seriousness, you're absolutely correct. We're going to need a bigger team, and we're going to have to streamline positions, and we're going to be looking for people who are obviously we need a switcher. Obviously, you're going to need a technical director. You're going to need a graphics guy. You're going to probably need an audio guy. We got to figure out how many times we'll have to record commentary on the edited stuff. So there's and then obviously all the cameramen people and potentially card runners. There's lots of there's lots of people that would need to be a part of that expansion.
And I think of that only from as I was talking to one of our cameramen from Smashbox on the way here earlier tonight. I was just thinking, for the most part, Smashbox in particular didn't operate with a lot of aside from me personally, a lot of extra fat. There wasn't a lot of extra hands. I mean, of course we had help and host teams and host events and card runners like Danielle or Seth or whomever. I mean, there's a few extra hands on deck from time to time, but for the most part, when we think about the Smashbox operation, it's
slim and trim.
It's Johnny, Gary, 2 cameramen, and myself, and then you could put in a Dixon as a co-commentator, so on and so forth. But what yours sounds like you want to take on, it sounds like a massive overhaul.
It is. We've been contemplating exactly the best way to do media for the last 6 to 8 months. And when I say we, I mean Danielle and I. We've been trying to figure out what is the best way to present disc golf, to raise the bar and do it efficiently. And it's interesting because when you talk about the Smashbox team, you're talking about 5 people. And when you talk about the Jomez team, you're talking about 3 people. And Central Coast, you're talking about 3 people. That's 11 people. If all 11 people are on the same team, pulling in the same direction, sharing all of our effort, I think that's going to be really close to what you need.
Well, and I'll say real quickly, that's an interesting angle at it, because there's plenty of chatter on the boards depending on who you're the biggest fanboy of. On any given day, you see a lot of that when people will say, "Oh, it'd be awesome if Jomez and Central Coast and CC and Smashbox or whomever, insert all of those PSP, whomever, if they were just all together to make, one media team." And I always kind of in my head, after I eventually got sick of just replying to that, literally in my head, I always think, yeah, right after like Coke and Pepsi merge and right after Ford and Chevy merge, like there's a lot of these companies that have built their own brands and their own branding and have their own identities. And it may seem all too obvious to some of the viewers. It's really not necessarily to the proprietors, and you're taking on a whole different task of saying, whoever I get, I'm going to bring them all in-house, and we're going to be under the Disc Golf Pro Tour brand. I guess there's not a question. It was more of an observation.
With the exception of the word proprietors in that sentence, which confused me a little bit, I would say I agree.
So logistically, by bringing everybody on the same page, do you plan on having, and this is more logistics in my head, do you plan on having the people that are doing the post-production also be the live cameramen? Is that, because we've always talked about redundancy between having us stand right next to Jomez. Are you consolidating at that point then?
Yeah, I think Terry touched on that already. That camera guy who is operating the live camera, the goal would be to take that footage and utilize that footage for the edited post-production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And the question is which crew is managing that? Yeah.
When we, for a number of years in discussing live strategies, have talked about how to grow the live side when we do have such a vibrant and very thorough post-production side. Have you thought any further about releases or about how footage may unfold? And one example being, we've always said, hey, if we want people to watch live, if post-production was instructed or forced to be held off for 24 or 48 or 72 hours, immediately live would have a higher priority for people, because they would know that if they want to watch it, they have to watch it live, or they have to wait, 3 or 4 days. Have you thought about pursuing any of those things now that you'll have even a greater sense of control?
So I will say that no matter what happens in the 2019 season, the number one goal is to have all of the current expectations met. And then anything else that we do, we want it to be additive to the experience. So, for example, we want to make sure that MPO1 is covered live. If we're able to add in some shots from MPO2, great. If we're able to add in FPO1 live as another standalone part of what we're doing, awesome. That's fantastic. But we want to make sure that the bar that we currently have is absolutely met. And the same would go with edited. So right now there's an expectation that MPO1 edited goes out the next afternoon. That absolutely has to maintain. We also have to obviously maintain the quality. And there's multiple ways to make sure you maintain your quality. And then with MPO2, that has to come out the next day as well. FPO1, actually, what I think we will want to change is FPO1. I think it's time for FPO1 to come out the next day as well. And so have all of that. We tried putting the women out during the week, the following week, so we wouldn't cannibalize views. And I think the women can stand on their own, and I think people want to watch them next day as well. So I think I answered your question kind of in a roundabout way, but basically saying we don't want to we don't want to shake anything up so much that people's current expectations aren't met. We want to meet those and then improve in other areas.
Awesome. You have anything else on that?
Steve's getting a little bit of feedback, but
oh.
That's just his the volume and the.
Okay, so what would be the? Do you have a hit list? Do you have goals? What would be the things that when you talk about obviously bringing it in-house, that's not a goal, but well, maybe it was ultimately, and that's something else we can talk about in a moment. But when we think about a hit list or a goal list of things to increase professionalism, what are some of the things that you're most excited about being able to achieve or obtain next year?
I want to leave a lot of that in the pouch, as a matter of fact. We have a media plan that's going to start rolling out this week, and then probably for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we will lay out different pieces of the media plan. I don't know if we're either going to talk about the live broadcast first, or if we're going to talk about the media policy first. Both of which I'm very excited about being able to sort of better define as exactly what was going to be happening and what our expectations are, and what the presenting partners of each of the events will be able to expect. Because that was also another hiccup that happened over the last season, was the presenting partners didn't always get the right amount of thanks on the media, and so that's just another side benefit. But what I'm saying is, over the next 5 weeks, we're going to roll out our media plan, and I just want to leave it at, let's say we want to make sure that where we are is met, and all of the current expectations are met, and then we want to just improve the product and the process that creates that product going forward.
When we were also at the summit, the PDGA summit, Steve Hill, along with I'll say some input from Johnny V and a little bit of feedback from myself and a number of others, had proposed early last year, and it was even talked about years before that, had made a proposal to the PDGA stating, here's some feedback, here's some ideas for how we'd love to see post-production teams and media management kind of unfold at events. And some of it was pretty pie in the sky, some of it was maybe a little wishful thinking, all of it was very practical, I guess, depending on your vantage point. But Steve Hill brought that up and talked about that a little bit at this year's summit. And the plan for those particularly pertain to national tours and PDGA majors. You have a very different approach, and by definition of the Pro Tour, and then some. You have a very different approach to media. I think you know what those differences are between what the PDGA's avenue, we'll say with that generic policy versus the Pro Tour's policy. Can you explain that to everyone and where they might see some differences and how you're going to navigate those?
Well, I think the first and primary difference is the idea that the Pro Tour focuses on live. All of our events, every round of every event for the men and this year the women will be broadcast live. That's always been one of our focuses. And I'll go ahead and give a tip of the tough to you guys, because without your significant value proposition, where you guys put out a product at a price that a startup can afford, without you guys, we could never even be here. This conversation wouldn't be happening at all. And I need to say that out loud to you guys, because all the heart to you guys for helping to bring us where we are. But anyway, directly to your question, that's one of the significant differences. With the exception of GBO, I don't know if any of the national tours will have live broadcast. GBO, I'm not sure, but I expect they will. The other thing is that the PDGA is at a significant. Hello?
Maybe. Well, maybe the NTs won't have live coverage. We're not sure yet.
Okay, maybe. We'll see. You guys might have some great things to do.
We've got a lot of extra time next year now.
We've got some available weekends.
There's a few available weekends for us now, so we can.
I just got to change a few hair appointments, and I might be more available.
Wouldn't that be a fantastic fallout from this decision? Is that we get more live coverage? I think that would be fantastic. But directly to your question, the PDGA has some inherent challenges because of the history of their events. For example, USDGC is owned and controlled by Innova, therefore they own and control the media. GBO is owned and controlled by Dynamic Disc, therefore they own and control the media. And those are very different wickets that the PDGA has to navigate versus the Pro Tour. We're able to put a more consistent shine on all of our events because we have control over the media and control over the general look and feel of the events. And we have obviously the consistent points going across the entire season and the Tour Championship and all that goodness. So yeah, the PDGA does have significant challenges, but up until this moment, the big difference was that we focus on live, and the National Tour and majors I guess Pro Worlds does live. So, but the NTs in general don't focus on live, and that's the big difference.
Is there anything about the policy, which I think you're somewhat familiar with, or again, and it's not even a policy because it's not in place. It was just really a proposal. But is there anything about that strikes you as a favorable or unfavorable as we move forward? I mean, and I say that because 5 years ago, anybody showed up to any event to film anything they wanted. You know, a couple years ago, it got a little bit more dicey. Now it is a business. It's a business for us in live. It's a business for me in post, as it is for Jomez and all of these other companies. Is there anything that you would like to see as the media continues to push forward?
On the PDGA side?
Well, PDGA or just the overall policy. I mean, again, your approach is just so different in that at these events, you're bringing it all in-house. And maybe I shouldn't say different. Maybe I should back up and say, you think back to the World Tour, UC very much had a very concise media strategy where he had his media teams, and now he may have, subcontracted a Jomez and some of the Disc Golf Planet guys, but there again, he was in control of that entire component, where at all the other events, it's very much a, kind of on your own thing, and your approach is just very different. Is there anything pros or cons as to how you see those approaches? And do you think we'll transition one way or another?
Well, it's really interesting because when you look at major sports, obviously just football, it's football season. We all just watched a weekend of football. Football is doing a lot of really interesting things right now. I was hoping to watch a football game on Twitch. Someone told me you could watch football on Twitch now. And I want to see how
Twitch
they
after
do that.
concussions, Steve. I think that's when they twitch, is after a concussion. But go on.
I know Amazon Prime has football games. I don't know. I don't believe Twitch does yet.
I read something that said that they do, and I don't know what they're doing with it. But does Amazon own Twitch?
Yes.
Okay. There's something there then. Maybe I don't know what's going on exactly. But there's a lot of really interesting things going on where it's not just CBS, Fox, and NBC and ABC trying to buy the rights now. There's a lot of other media outlets going on. And one thing that us bringing this in-house does is it allows us to be much more nimble when anybody, whether it's a disc golf channel or a non-disc golf channel, is interested in covering the Pro Tour. We have the ability to say, okay, great, you're working with us directly, or you're going to outsource this and you're going to pay us, for the rights to do that. So either way, it allows us to be nimble and increase the number of people that get to see it, the professionalism of the broadcast. And I don't know that I don't want to disparage what the PDGA is doing. I think what the PDGA has consistently been doing is trying to improve the process for the media, and trying to make it more professional at each and every year. And I think Marty and Steve put together a really solid proposal for transitioning from where we were to where we want to be. And but their task is significantly harder than mine. I should say than the Pro Tours in that regard. The Pro Tour was built from the ground up with the understanding that the media was there and we were going to provide it.
I totally agree, and it's a huge task that they're doing, and that will help shape and mold, as of right now, all events non-Disc Golf Pro Tour, and those are continuing to grow, and those are continuing to be tougher to contain because there are so many great events taking place all around both Pro Tour and non-Pro Tour, and then dealing with those individual media situations at all of them is become a full-time job in itself. Hence, Media Marty and Steve Hill. So, Johnny, do you have any other questions? I know we're going to get to Keith Murray. Keith, of course, kicking off the Pro Tour for 2019. I think he's got a few details to give for us regarding the kickoff of next year. We've already talked.
Maybe we'll get to go play the Memorial this year.
I won't caddy for you.
Come on,
Steve. If he play, well, no,
it's a different event.
If he plays, I'd say, can I film him? But he'd be playing in an A tier.
It's a different event.
Do you control the A tier side? You really don't, do you?
Is that technically Pro Tour?
Yeah, not really, is it?
Doesn't the Pro Tour control all disc golf events?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It depends who you ask on the internet, because there's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff out on the internet.
So if I play in Vegas, Terry, will you caddy for me, and then Johnny plays at the Memorial and you caddy for him? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, as long as we're all talking, well, if we're talking the Masters division for Johnny at Memorial, that will be a PDGA A tier or Advanced Masters even. And if you're in Vegas, as long as you don't play, I don't know, I might need special credentials, and I don't know where I'm going to get those anymore. So it seems like mine have all been exhausted. All right,
I could play in the Grandmasters division for you.
Oh wow, that's impressive. Steve, anything you before we head over to the guy kicking off your tour next year, and Keith Murray, we're going to have him in a moment. Anything, any parting shots to share with us here before we let you go?
I will go ahead and say that I had a conversation with Keith probably a week and a half ago, and I would stick around because he's got some very exciting stuff coming. The Memorial has impressed me with their ability to adjust and improve, and I look forward to watching them do that for many years to come. This is it's going to be a lot of fun kicking the season off.
It certainly is, and it's only just a few months away. I'm going to go check out Arizona this weekend, make sure everything looks okay for getting, and then I'll go back in January and check it out one more time before it looks good in February.
Or the end of February.
It's just my job. It's what I got to do. All right, Steve. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunities we had with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We're excited to watch things grow and thrive. Everyone knows you're putting heart and soul into it.
Most certainly.
Everyone knows that we're putting heart and soul into it, and you just want to crush it and not let us. No, we're just kidding. But we do appreciate it, of course, all the time. And you have the following and the backing that you do because everyone knows your heart's in the right place. And we're looking forward to improvements too, because whatever these new people that come in and soullessly take our jobs, we're gonna copy and knock off and do even better. And we'll come back and then we're gonna own Twitch, and then you can watch
Disc Golf on Twitch. You can already watch Disc Golf on Twitch.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just talking.
I've put it out there before.
All right, buddy. Again, we appreciate it. Have a good night, and we'll look forward to talking more soon.
Thank you guys for everything up until this point and for everything we do together in the future.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. All right, Steve Dodge giving us the exclusive
boot. The exclusive boot.
I think I threw you guys for a loop on that one. I don't know if anyone saw that one coming.
No, I don't believe anyone did see that coming.
And to be fair, we didn't see it coming. Somebody asked, did we know going into this conversation? We did.
We found out on Saturday.
But Saturday night, and the timing kind of coincided with Johnny had just actually sent an email to Steve Dodge a day earlier saying, hey, we're gearing up and we want to make some improvements.
The tour ended. There was a lot of stuff that I had hoped to accomplish over the off season. Mm-hmm. New equipment, possibly new computer, other things, maybe new cameras, things like that.
I was going to lose 100 pounds.
Yeah, I was going to send Terry to a personal trainer. That's coming right out of the. I mean, that's a big chunk.
That's a Smashbox budget item.
That's a budget item
for sure.
I had a lot of plans, but I did not want to go forward with anything until I had a definitive plan, knowing that Steve had was beginning to make plans. I wanted to be extra sure, and so I sent an email to Steve, and then he immediately followed up with "We need to talk," which
it's not you, it's me. I think I heard that at one point. No, maybe not.
I've never gotten that. Not that exact line.
I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
I've never had that happen to me.
I'm just making stuff up as I go here. Me either. Yeah. So
and to be fair, I know obviously this isn't what Smashbox wanted. I mean,
it's not.
No, we wanted to grow with the tour as well, and it sounds like Steve wanted to bring things in-house and have a little more centralization and, possible control over it. And I can't blame him. And I sent an email to him and I said, Steve, I respect you a lot and I respect the tour. And I think the Pro Tour is one of the best things that has happened to the players and disc golf in a long time. I think it has really set the stage for making a true touring professional be able to happen.
Make it viable.
Make it viable. So, yeah. And so, I mean, there's a lot of questions. People are asking questions like, who's going to commentate? Who's going to do camera work? That's all stuff that's going to be figured out. And I think it's a little too early to say that, to figure anything out. And who knows? Maybe everything goes crazy and we're back. Oh, Keith Murray.
All right. Well. And as soon as he gives us his video signal, it looks like we've just about got him ready to go in our digital green room. He's getting everything ready, and I think I'm going to even see him in a few days.
You are.
As I check out that Arizona weather. Welcome to the show, your 2019 Memorial Championships, presented by Discraft, Tournament Director, Keith Murray. How are we doing tonight, buddy?
Good, Terry. Good. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Boom. Got your name up there. Good. Everyone needs to know what your name is, so we need to make sure to have that up there.
So, and we obviously lots of chatter about the Disc Golf Pro Tour a moment ago. It's going to be. I mean, I don't want to say you're going to be sorely disappointed by the new crew that's in there. That's not us, but no,
nobody.
I'm totally kidding.
Nobody. Well, in the fact that nobody gives hugs like Terry.
Yes.
Period. And
I'll still give you a hug, though.
I guarantee you, whoever is taking our position is not going to be able to give you the same kind of hug that Terry does.
That's true.
Well, maybe. I mean, we'd still love to have you out, figure something out. Maybe you shadow me. We'll do some TD. Day in the life, week in the life. Oh my God, I don't know. That'd be pretty crazy. I don't know if people could understand the horror that we go through.
I mean, does your event have any railroad ties? Terry could bring some of those.
Ouch. Tying it all together. I got you there.
I got you.
So, Keith, we're here, though. We are, in all seriousness, everyone needs to remain excited, of course, and be excited. They should be. The Memorial, one of the longest-running, largest events on the planet. Rightfully so. You guys have gone through lots of iterations. I mean, I came out to my first Memorial in 2005. I've been there, I think, every year except for 2 of them since then. In a lot of times it was Disc Golf Planet and volunteering with them. I've played. Obviously, we've been out there with Smashbox, with and without the Pro Tour. The Memorial is just, it's a must-hit event and a place and a time and a location. It's everything that everybody wants in the last week of February. And this year, there's yet a little change up. You guys have never been afraid to try new things, and this year you're going to change things up slightly. Is that what I hear?
Yeah, so I looked up and wanted to kind of check back and see when the last time we finished on a Sunday, because that's the big news. We're going back. We're going to a Thursday through Sunday format. And then when I look back to see when the last time we did that was back in 2007. And we were actually Friday through Sunday. We were still a 3-day event back then. So this will actually be the first time the Memorial Championship has ever been a Thursday through Sunday event. So we're really excited about that. The amazing turnout we had at Vista in Scottsdale on Saturday really made the decision for us that we need to give even the spectators and the folks locally another chance to come out and watch them on Sunday. we felt like we left people hanging, and there was folks coming by wanting to see some action still, thinking that it was still going on, and it just seemed like it was, you know, a good thing to do. Dano fell in love with the travel day of USDGC years ago, but yeah, it just seemed like, not to mention all the volunteers we had show up on Saturday out in Scottsdale. So that alone made me think, wow, we could get a lot more of those folks out there tomorrow or on Sunday, the next day, if we were to do that. So super excited about that. Really excited.
Now, it's fair to say that when people come out there for this swing, a lot of them partake in both Vegas and the Memorial. And in the last couple years, we've obviously seen you join the Pro Tour. We've seen Vegas become an 8 or a national tour. And both of these events, of course, you know, when you come out there, you should be taking them both in. But one of the challenges, and I think you guys, I'll say, benefited from it, one of the challenges was people were saying that it was a very short turnaround to finish in Vegas and then to come over to Scottsdale. And in fact, more often than not, you saw more people skipping Vegas and then ultimately still arriving in Scottsdale. If they were going to choose one or the other, it seemed like the Memorial was the choice. This extra day, is it fair to say it's going to appease and really help a lot of people too?
It certainly isn't going to hurt.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other beauty of part of it too, is that, yeah, it just gives one more day in between, whether you're, you know, wanting an extra practice day or just need an extra day to, you know, recuperate from Vegas. It gives you that option.
Why would you recuperate from Vegas?
It's not like Vegas is one of the cities that never sleeps.
Something.
It's not like you can't wake up at 3 a.m. and see Ricky Wysocki at the poker table.
That's true.
When he's got...
I knew we were getting old when I saw Stevie skip Vegas the first time, like a year or two ago, and show up early to practice. I'm like, what are you doing here? You know, and oh man, I started feeling old then. But yeah, it's definitely something that... it's also going to be nice, too, like we were talking volunteer-wise. So not only am I going to have, you know, a day that volunteers aren't going to have to take off work, because you got to figure, we were doing Tuesday during the day check-in, Wednesday round 1, Thursday, Friday, finishing Saturday with a cut. Now we're going to go to a Wednesday evening check-in. So we'll do that in the afternoon, evening. So that's going to alleviate some folks having to take time off work to volunteer as well. Luckily, we did have a number of people that would do that, but that's a tough ask, you know, to have people come out and, you know, give their hard-earned time and actually take off work to do that. It's one thing to get them out to volunteer on the weekend. So now it'll be, you know, easier to focus on the Thursday, Friday. We get the hardcore volunteers that come out and help us so much every year that we couldn't do it without them. So then we'll just see even more and more come, because that's the new format as well, is going to be the Disc Golf Pro Tour is going to go Fountain, Vista, and then the A-tier side will play Vista, finish at Fountain. And then the pros will have the cut on Sunday at Vista. Oh,
I did not know of that little interesting change up. So the first 2 rounds from the Disc Golf Pro Tour will be Fountain on Thursday, Friday, and then Vista, Saturday, Sunday, assuming they make the cut.
I like that.
Tell us a little bit about the cut. You know, and some events have them, some don't. Obviously, not all events, or very many these days, are even four rounds. But tell us about how the cut's going to work and what that means.
So basically, we'll take the top 50% of the pros, give them a little bit of action. There's been talk. We've resisted making the pay line the cut line, simply because technically someone could really not show up. Just mailing my check. You know, I'll take that last cash. We'd like to give a little bit of excitement come Saturday, or now Sunday, I should say. So it's going to be 50% of the pros. They'll make the cut on Sunday. It makes it a lot easier to just, especially now that we're kind of getting rid of that travel day Sunday, to not finish at, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, Terry and I one year had to bail out of the Memorial halfway through because of our flight and things running late, and had to bail out halfway through our last round. I'm really excited about the Memorial. I get excited every year. It is one of my favorite events. I know it's partially because it's a classic for us. We've all, it sounds funny. We've always been there, whether it's been playing or broadcast. We had with Disc Golf Pro Tour that basically, or with DiscGolfPlanet.tv that Steve basically had with you guys today. It was like,
sorry, we're going with Smashbox. Or,
Yeah.
got you guys going. I mean, definitely take things to another level. And yeah, really appreciate everything you've done, not only for this one, but other events out here. I mean, Terry needs a timeshare out here, really.
Yeah.
I was thinking that doesn't sound like a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Actually.
But maybe one of the positive things is, like I said, maybe I'll go out and play, which I haven't done in 6 years, 7 years.
I think, to quote Beyonce, I don't think you're ready for this jelly. No?
You're probably right.
Yeah, that could be certainly a good time. How many years? I'll put you on the spot a tad. Do you know how many years has this event been going on?
This will be the 31st.
31st.
And how many have you directly been involved in?
Well, the first one I came out, Mike and I both played, and that's when I learned real quick I belonged on the other side of the table. So that was 99 was the first time we came out here. We came out here in March of 99 to get out of the cold. It was a 2-day tournament. I don't think we golfed that first one. We might have, but that's kind of where the hangover was born from. We'd always take an extra day to golf with Dano and usually a buddy or two, some stick golf. And then hangover scramble was created from that years later. But yeah, I came out first time in 99, played it, and then every year after that, I came out and helped out to one degree or another running sales, and then learned more from Sue especially, and Dan. And then when I moved out here in 07, I think I took over the TD moniker in, God, 9? Must have been probably 09.
Okay.
I know whenever they said, what was it? Tournament directors couldn't play in tees or something like that. So they basically had to list me because I wasn't playing. I don't care.
Well, it certainly has grown and expanded. We know, I think a couple years ago, we maybe even had you on here. You talked one year about adding a course, and that certainly was a huge undertaking. And then, fast forward a couple years later, you guys scaled back a little and said, you're going to go a different direction because you want the experience back a little bit and not have such an expensive and overall undertaking of that other course, and focused more on the experience. It's ever evolving, and for the world, let everyone know, what does that mean when you're trying to do your best, which I know is really tough to do, but trying to do your best to accommodate 400, 500, 600 people, whatever the numbers are. What is that? What are some of the things that you frequently deal with that maybe people don't understand?
I would say more than anything, I mean, there's just a lot of logistics. You've got to be on top of stuff, but I have to have, good quality people underneath me. And that, the volunteers, that's probably the one thing that people don't necessarily realize or don't appreciate, even the week they're here, is once again, the people taking the time off work to come out and spot or set up a sales tent or go, make sure the water jugs are full. And so without folks like Ashley Akins that manages the store with me and runs the tournament with me, basically, these last couple of years, Jamie and Mike Spencer have been huge. Our buddy Roach and his wife Sherry, oh my God, they couldn't do it without them. There's so many folks that are a part of this, and we always kind of reach out to try to get some new blood as well. Some folks get burned out, so it's understandable. But you just power through. I just try to do the best we can, present the best courses we can to them, hope for the best weather that we can give them, and just try to make it a fun week. One of the other things that we're changing up this year is moving the Players Party back to Scottsdale. So since we're going to have the Saturday, Sunday at Vista, Saturday night the Players Party is going to be at Duke's. So really excited about that.
That's fun. One of the things I think I missed the most is it kind of felt like when we would go back and forth, Duke's didn't have that same vibe as it had when we first started going there. There were a few less players that would show up, and it just didn't have that same real gathering location like we'd seen a long time ago. And I think hopefully this will bring that back. This will help get some of the golfers together, so to speak.
This year, I saw it big time this year because so many folks were hanging out there, Friday night, Saturday night, especially after. But a lot of folks were talking. They were even during the day sitting there and watching the folks finish and stuff like that. The patio was packed. It was amazing. It looked like the stadium hole at TPC Scottsdale, the crowds. We've been finishing so long in Fountain Hills, and I live out here. I don't really think about kind of how out there it is, but man, oh man, we really need crowd control for the top 3 cards coming up in 2019. And many folks commented, the last thing you want to do is necessarily have a few too many out in the middle of, where Fountain Hills is, kind of in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of the hills, and then drive all the way back to where they're staying, which is usually Scottsdale, or maybe even downtown. But then the last few years with 3 courses, some folks were staying in Mesa. So it definitely spread things out, and it definitely made it a lot. The one thing I kept saying going into this year, and it definitely seemed to work out, is that the more logistically sound that we can make the event run smoother, the better event for the player. I mean, that's just going to be kind of, yin and yang right there. It's got to kind of work. The smoother things run for us, it trickles down. It gives a better experience to the player.
It's experienced and it's felt very quickly when things are running smoothly from the back end. It usually projects very easily into the front end. So let's get to a few details. Registration, the process, the place, the times, the limitations, the divisions, all that type of stuff. Give us a few of the details, either what we can what we can expect and how it's unfolding.
Sure. So we're opening up registration next week for the Disc Golf Pro Tour side. That's going to include the Touring Pro card holders and the Disc Golf or the PDGA Tour Pro Tour card holders and the Disc Golf Pro Tour points leaders. We'll have that for the first week, as well as all international NPO and FPO. Big shout out to Tommy Marcus and the whole crew over there in Estonia. They do an amazing job. They get a huge crew over here. I think we had 18 Estonians this year. And then he even hit me up on Facebook asking about if one of his crew could come volunteer. I'm like, heck yes, we could always use more volunteers. So big shout out to Tommy. But yeah, so we're going to open up at noon Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. And again, that first week on the Disc Golf Pro Tour side, it'll just be for those folks. On the A-tier side, which is MP40, MP50, MP60, as well as the amateurs, MA1, FA1, and then the 40, 50, 60s of those guys, that one's open to everybody. So at high noon on November 20th, next Tuesday, you're going to want to be sure and sign up. Make sure you're current. That's one thing you can get out of the way right now. Make sure you're PDGA current for 2019. You will have to be current for both of those. And the registration will open up on discgolfscene.com.
Okay, perfect. And that was going to be my final question, and you nailed it with the last phrase there, discgolfscene.com. You can go out there, get it all taken care of. And now is the time, like you also just mentioned, and I'll reiterate, go renew your PDGA registration. You may not think of it as a big deal, but if you do it now and it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's obviously good for all of next year right now, get that done so the next time you log into Disc Golf Scene for any event, and some of them are going to be a race. You guys already know that. You're racing to get to an event. You're racing to get to registration. And the last thing you want to worry about is, well, am I or am I not? Do I pay extra? Do I have to add that into the cart? Whatever. Just eliminate it. Get it taken care of as a transaction ahead of time so that when you need to go register for the Memorial or the Glass Blown Open comes to mind, any of the events, obviously, the spots are coming and going quickly. Be prepared.
I've had people lose spots because they had to take the time to go sign up real quick. It kicks them to you must renew, and they get jumped over there. I mean, we only have, what do we got? 72 MA1 spots when it starts, 40 of the 40-year-olds, 32 of the 50. So that's the one that really presses, you know what I mean? It's the A-tier side. The MPO, FPO, that first week of cards and internationals. The next week is folks that cashed in 2018. That's a new one this year. That's going to be for Disc Golf Pro Tour. We're going to give a week to folks that cashed the previous year. So I really like that. Kind of, give folks a little extra time that have been here and did well the year before. Then after that, it goes to that 970 MPO, 870 FPO. And then a week after that, if there's any spots left on 12/11, it'll be open to everybody. So...
Well, and there's no doubt that, of course, at this event every year, not only are people itching and dying to play, get the year started, all of that, but then with the tiered registration services and everything else, this is where you see some of the best golf or golfers collect, and for them all to be put on a show right off the bat to get the year started there's just no better way to do it. And in Scottsdale,
if we hold to tour points, tour champ, memorial champ, and a fan vote, man, that first card would be Paul, Chris Dickerson, Simon, and a fan vote. Oh, man, that'd be pretty crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sign up for Open and get that fan vote.
That's what I think we should do.
We should push we sign up for Open, push our people to get me on the live coverage.
Oh my gosh, that would be and if
horrendous.
somehow you don't get onto the live coverage, then you just conveniently have to switch divisions back to Advanced Masters and you go play there.
And I will say it's at Fountain, which is my stronger course.
Yeah,
I've shot many under par there before. But that was many years ago. All right, one of my favorite things every year, and then we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon here. Discraft usually hooks you up with something awesome every year for the Memorial. I remember the 10-year buzz came out there. Were you guys the first one to have the foil discs as well?
Yep, the foils for the actual Memorial ones. The Nuke, we debuted the Nuke, the Surge back in 07.
I was going to say that.
Not 06, was that 06?
Yeah.
No.
So 06 or 07, because I may have received a box of them while I was there. And
so I guess the question is, what is it going to be, and is it going to have Mick in front of it?
Well,
yeah. That's so easy. Yeah, McDowell Road. Hello.
Oh yeah, McDowell Road.
I got you, buddy.
McDowell Mountain Range is right behind us. Yeah, no, it's something that we should know more here in the next little bit. Been talking with Mike Wagner over there at Discraft, my old buddy who I came out here the first time with back in '99. And he's actually coming to town. The Lions will be here on the 9th, so we're going to the Lions-Cardinals game, and I'm sure we're going to hammer out some more details then. So, yeah, I was just kind of noticing the last call to you guys was January, so that must have been the foil buzz release.
It was.
So.
Did I ever pick mine up from you? I know this sounds really silly to be saying on the air, but did I ever get them from you?
I think they're sitting on the table, as a matter of fact. Now that you mentioned that to me, I'll have to take a look.
I think I paid like top dollar, and I never got around to getting them.
I have mine somewhere over there. And, and
I think I
gorgeous.
I don't remember ever grabbing them from you. So yeah, sweet.
We do already have some full foil artwork that we're in process of printing for the actual Memorial Championship. We're also going to have some fun new stuff as well. But the full foil artwork was done by Coy Matthews. He popped back into the disc golf world. He's known for, the original Buzz. That was Coy, and the Predator Lion. He did a lot of Discraft stamps back in the day, as well as some of the most amazing Memorial artwork back then, too. So I had him do me something up specifically for a metallic full foil process that turned out pretty sweet. He's working on another custom full-color lizard for us, as well as some other fun stuff. But yeah, so we'll be rolling those out here probably in the next month or so. That one, just on the Buzz, nothing too limited just yet. And then we should have some other announcements probably next month. But actually, maybe even Cyber Week, for Cyber Monday. We'll probably do some rollouts then as well on spinnersonthegreen.com.
Awesome.
Oh, let me push a new sponsor. Man, I almost forgot. We have an exciting new partnership with Press Coffee in Phoenix. Man, this is going to be awesome. These guys are super cool. They got 9 locations. They roast right in Phoenix, and went to the roaster last week, tried out some blends. Oh, my God, this is going to be awesome. So it's going to be a Brazilian bean, medium roast, very approachable. 1,000-rated blend is what we're calling this. So, man, cup of this in the morning, and you're going to shoot lights out. So the Memorial Championship 1,000-rated blend, that's going to be on sale soon at Spinners on the Green in the store, and then on PressCoffee.com. So really looking forward to partnering with those cats, and moving some Go Juice. I love me some coffee, so it was an easy agreement right there.
Well, and I have to ask, how does that come about? Is there a golfer that's that you specifically know that you worked with, or was there a team or a collaboration, or was it someone who's on the fringe that says, "Oh, I happen to disc golf and I make this coffee, or I work here"? How did that come about, that relationship?
It was basically a great guy, David McVicker, customer at Spinners for years now, and happened to say, "Hey, I am now production manager at Press Coffee. I've been here for a little bit. Love to maybe look at ways to get involved with disc golf, with tournaments, with the Memorial." And I'm like, "Oh, I have a great idea." He had the idea of doing a blend. I had the idea of I wanted somebody out. So these guys are going to be out in the morning. They have the coffee out there for the players, maybe some snacks. Then afternoon, they switch over to the kegerator. They got nitrous cold brew going. It's going to be pretty awesome. And yeah, he was like, love to have you buy the roaster and let's hook up. And so gave him my card. He shot me an email. And yeah, next thing you know, partnering with Press Coffee on 1,000 rated blend. And then I just love the fact that we can have some fun with it in the future. If everything works out, maybe we have 1020 next year. We can do whatever we want. It's pretty awesome.
Well, and coffee's such a no-brainer. Obviously, so many millions or billions of people drink it every year. Ironically enough, or coincidentally, Johnny nor I happen to be coffee drinkers. Doesn't matter. We might not be there. But it's so great to see when there is that tie. And we talk about it all the time. Where's that next big sponsor? Ideally, somebody from outside the sport, rather than just always going to the well of the manufacturers. Having that tie or that spark or that connection to anyone, large or small, outside the sport, this is exactly what we need, and it's awesome to see it. You guys have always been, I think, right on that leading edge of having those relationships, having those people, whether it's the brewery or Fat Tire, Sierra Nevada, all of those types of people, big and small. It seems like every year there's always someone that we're able to bring in the fold and work with, and that's really exciting to me. And I think all events nationwide, always should be thinking about that, because eventually, and I've said it for 15 years, I think our big break's going to come when some kid comes home from playing disc golf and talks to his mom or dad who's an executive at a Harley or a Coca-Cola, and when that parent finally
a coffee place
understands what their kid is doing, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm a big executive at such and such place, Fortune 500 company. Let's get on board with this." And I think that's how it's going to happen. So
certainly
this might
could.
be one of those ways.
Definitely reaching outside. Anytime we can partner with somebody that is, like you said, not directly involved with the sport of disc golf, but can certainly benefit from it, that's the one thing that, like you said, there's a lot of coffee drinkers out there. And the fact that they'll be able to offer this right through their website, presscoffee.com, is going to be huge. I think, the more folks support 1,000 Rated Blend, then, the more that relationship grows, and then hopefully other things grow from there. Somebody starts drinking 1,000 Rated Blend, they're like, what the heck is this? If they start selling in their stores, that'd be amazing.
Well, and I can't stress it enough. We need, it's now become a little cliche, but we need to support those who support disc golf. And a company like this that, previously had no tie to disc golf, but now is, dipping their toe in, when we blow them away and they sell, 10,000 pounds or whatever the number is of coffee, and it's directly tied to disc golf, they open their eyes and say, oh, yeah, you know what? That went well, and we can open our pocketbooks bigger next year. And we need to support those people.
So, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I definitely, anytime we can pick up a new sponsor, that's always a goal, to pick up, a handful every year. And, of course, we do have the Sierra Nevada, Discraft, DGA, Euro Pizza, Dukes, all the regular players on there coming back, again and again, that really help us out. But, we can always pick up more.
Absolutely. All right, Keith. Well, we're going to let you go here pretty soon. I think we're going to have I think we're having Alyssa Van Lanen here any moment. She's going to talk about some cool stuff going on as the year closes out. I will see you this weekend. Is that correct? Or did you say you're the MC or the DJ? What are you this weekend? What hat are you wearing?
I'm pretty sure I'm just working. Dave said he wanted Spinners to come set up for the players party, so I said sure. It'll be right over there, Euro Pizza. I love Marita over there. She's the bomb, so definitely looking forward to go hanging out over at her place for a while. So yeah, I think Saturday at 7, something like that.
I'll be there, sure.
Something like that. So yeah, be cruising over there, probably myself, and then one of my guys, Rambo, that works for me, cruising over there Saturday night. So yeah, it should be pretty fun. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not as chilly. It's like 60 right now, so freezing over here.
Oh,
Jeez.
you got soft. You used to be Detroit tough, and now you're 60. It's so cool.
I never was tough in the cold. I hated the cold. Oh my
That's
god!
true.
Especially as soon as I started driving in it. Once you start driving in it, watch out.
All right,
Ugh.
buddy. Well, we're excited. We're looking forward to 2019 and beyond. You've provided both of us just so many great memories and experiences there in Scottsdale, and that's the memorial, but that also involves everything that is Arizona disc golf, and of course spinners, and that area around there. To me, is what Arizona disc golf's always been about, and I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend. And we're looking forward to, of course, watching 2019 open up with a bang, and we appreciate it.
Can't wait, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Awesome.
All right, have a good night, buddy.
Hey,
See ya.
everybody.
See you
Have a great
later,
night.
Keith.
All right, Keith Murray. Some of you, and I know we just kind of tiptoed around it momentarily. Keith actually was an employee at Discraft.
Yes, in
And
Michigan.
in Michigan, and as he said, he was talking about how he came to the event and he helped out. He did some stuff as an employee of Discraft, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, he was moving down there. He was then becoming part owner of the store, and now helps run Spinners on the Green, and of course in charge of not only this event, but then I know they do Glow. I think it's every third Friday. They do a Glow event out there with Sierra Nevada, and they're always doing something.
I've seen them do cross-dressing events. I've seen them do glow events. The other day I saw on some pictures that Vista was completely flooded. Like it was like there was like a foot or two of water, and within just a day or two it was gone, and they were able to play again, and it's ridiculous. And that place, I truly enjoy the Memorial.
Yes.
It's just one of those fun events.
Looking forward to all of the action, as we said, and again, we've seen the Memorial for so many years. It has kicked off the national tour a couple years ago. That transitions into kicking off now the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and they continue 31 years in. Of course, I know there's some people like, oh, it's so boring. It's a Heiser Fest. Playing there, well, first of all, I always say, unless you're shooting 18 under, apparently it's not too easy. Second of all, to me, it's not just about the caliber of courses. Of course, some could say, well, we'd love more trees out there. You do with what you have, but also it's the atmosphere. It's kicking off the season. It's all of those things that make that trip and that experience so much fun. I don't think I'm offending anyone when I say, no, they don't have the two top-rated courses in the country. That doesn't mean they don't have one of the top-rated events that takes place there. And for me, I'm good with that.
There's no argument that I think Fountain is the easier of the courses, and that it's a little more righty or hyzer friendly, you may want to say. But until you play there, you have to, if it gets just a little windy, that when that fountain goes off, it throws everything. It truly does. But I am glad that we are seeing it go fountain, get those out of the way, so to speak.
Sure.
Let's watch the players shoot way under par, and then you have to go to Vista, which is the much more challenging course, and are arguably probably the better course between the two of them. I'm really excited for this change.
Yeah, it will be, again, I think back to all of the ways we've seen that event evolve. I remember saying, you're crazy when you're going to move to a Thursday, Friday, no, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was like, you're crazy. Who's going to do that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Like that, honestly, at one point was crazy. I also called them crazy when they said, we're going to player pack only. We're going to give out hundreds of dollars worth of stuff and not have prizes, and then just give out trophy baskets as really great trophies. I'm like, you're crazy. People are gonna hang you for that. No.
Got one right there.
It continues to happen, and they keep pushing the envelope, and it's all around. It's really awesome to see. So great people, and great to be out there. I think we've got Alyssa. Might be close to getting us dialed in. Alyssa's got some really cool stuff. Some of you have seen her Many of you have seen her running around on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, also on the National Tour, doing some other things, taking photos. But she, along with Paige Pierce, have picked up yet another media outlet in working with video. And I've seen a couple of their videos now. I think they have 3 or 4 of them put out. And we're going to have a little talk with her and about a really cool experience that I think they're providing and offering here. So if we can get her dialed in, and this is the first time she's been on, so
she knows our Skype handle, right?
She might not. I gave it to her.
Okay, good.
But if everyone can hang tight for just a moment, we'll see if we can make sure we get her
I want to go ahead and give a quick shout out and a thanks to everybody who threw some super chat our way. Rattle through them a little bit.
Oh, we need it. Oh my gosh!
I think that's what they hinted at.
If there's ever been a time, I have to cancel hair appointments next year.
Maybe you can only get your hair cut once every 3 months.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
So Big Putt Bill, Dominic Bickford dropped 50. Thank you very much. Dana Vici dropped $2 on us. Thank you, Zach Pajic, SD Disker. Thank you everybody who super chatted. I didn't get a chance to acknowledge you before. Yeah. So
later, remind me later. I want to talk a little bit about an origin, and it ties together along with Keith Murray and Smashbox, but I want to talk about that a little later. It looks like we have Alyssa. She's logged into Skype, so I think if Johnny, you try and dial her, maybe we'll see if we can get it to work. I don't know if you saw it on the chat.
There she
is.
There
you go. There's a little button, and we'll see if we can get her dialed in and get some goods. I wish everybody could hear that ringing noise. I love
the ringing. Yeah.
No, doesn't work that way.
I choose to
I understand.
Keep it on, but
all right. Off in our digital green room, it looks like she's ready to go. We got video. Man, she's first time guest, yet she's all on top of it.
She's got good lighting and all that stuff.
She knows what she's doing. Welcome for the first time ever, Alyssa Van Lanen. How are we doing tonight?
Hello, I'm good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. We know you're in the central time zone. You're over in Texas.
I am. Actually, you've seen this background before. You had someone on your show from Amateur Worlds that was sitting right in this exact spot, he said. So he set me up with the whole lighting setup and everything.
Wow. And who is that? Refresh me a little bit. Okay. Very cool. Nice. Awesome.
Amateur World Champion this year.
Very nice. Cool. So thank you for joining us. A lot of people, I mean, sometimes we see you, but more often we see your work. And you're out there, you've been hustling around, working as hard as anybody, grabbing a ton of photos. I think originally maybe for yourself, but then that transitioned into some contract work of some sort, right? With both the Pro Tour, the National Tour, and then other individual events, right?
Right, both for the PDGA and the Pro Tour this year. Actually, we were just talking about it. It's going to be the 3rd year that I'm going on tour already this year. So that's pretty exciting.
So you're still going to be on the Pro Tour?
Yeah.
Yes,
did you get fired tonight? Okay. No. Okay. So, well, it's awesome to see. But going a step further, and we got a little hint of this in having a conversation with Paige a few weeks ago. It felt like maybe a light bulb went on for her, and a conversation about media and a conversation about video and all of the social media. I think components come into play here, whether it's Instagram or whatever. But we're seeing you now do a lot more with video. Tell us about what that means to you. What has that process been for you?
Yeah, so I think that obviously the photo thing, and you were kind of involved with photo, I think, in the beginning of your disc golf media stuff.
I took a lot of terrible pictures. At one point, I've taken a ton of terrible pictures, yes.
Okay, but so you dabbled in that, and then you must have had this light bulb as well that really video is the way to connect with people. And I mean, this is great. The live videos are amazing because you really get a feel for how people are, and there's nothing to hide behind, you know. But I think that I realized as well that there's so much lacking in the disc golf world that people just don't see this sort of media. So especially like, so obviously my disc golf, I'm not a professional disc golfer. I don't have this like basis of knowledge to talk to you about every shot that they're throwing, and I'm not going to pretend to know that. So I'm looking at it from, what do I have to offer? And I'm around all of these professionals week in and week out, and I'm seeing that there's amazing personalities. They're going all over, they're rock climbing, they're fishing, they're doing all these things that people don't see. And they need to know these personalities besides just Paige on the course or Nate on the course and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to show that and bring that to light. And it's less about myself and more about just connecting all of these pros with all of the disc golf audience that I know is already out there.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this very much was attempted, and unfortunately, I don't know for all the exact reasons. I'll say it fizzled or it disbanded. This was very much attempted and actually I think very successful at the time. We saw the McBeast Diaries, and right. I don't know how many of those you ever saw or referenced or were worried about or consumed at all at any point in this process for you, but the McBeast Diaries was definitely a concerted effort by, at the time, Paul McBeth's brother to capture all of the in-between stuff. You know, there's him playing and practicing, which he captured some of, but then the stuff during the week was where some of that focus was. And it was just that. I mean, I thought it was appropriately named McBeast Diaries. It was, of course, his brother. So it was, you know, it was obviously at a very central focal point, but that was great. And I remember Paul saying to me at one time, he's like, yeah, you want to jump in the RV? You want to do this? And I'm like, family and 2 kids, not now. 10 years ago, the offer would have been great, but not now. So
right. That's been the thing with photo as well. It's not like there haven't been people that were great photographers. You know, Stu Mullenberg from The Flight Record, he takes amazing photos, and there's been other people as well, but there's never been someone that has that freedom that they're along for the entire ride. And it's not just Paul, it's not just Paige that I'm going to be following. I'm going to be following all these other disc golfers that I'm spending all my time with. And I'm already dedicated to being with them. I mean, I counted today, I was at 26 tournaments this year. You know, that's not happening with anyone else because no one has that freedom. The same with you, with your family and stuff.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say is that commitment. We see so many talented people out there, photos, videos, whatever, but there's very few that have put forth that commitment or have that freedom, however you want to look at it, to be there right. in and it's out fun. every single event. So tell us a little bit about your road life and how you got to this point of being on the road and filming and interacting with disc golfers every single weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of came at the perfect time in my life. I was already pretty much traveling for a living. I was living in Spain at the time, and I was teaching English and coming home every summer and actually filming disc golf every summer for my dad's tournament for the last, I don't know, 10 years I've been doing that.
That's it? You were only there 10 years?
Yeah.
She's a lot younger than us, Johnny.
I know. We've actually seen her grow up a little bit here and there. I mean, Terry and I were 20 years.
But yeah, my dad's been running that tournament for about 20 years, I believe.
19. Yeah, 19. Next year will be 19, technically. Yep.
Yeah. So I've been around that, I mean, my whole entire life. But then he bought me my very first camera to shoot his event. And so obviously I already have this like indebted feeling to disc golf and photography, really building my passion for it, right? But then I came home one summer to take photos for his event and to work at our family's restaurant for the summer. And it was the year that the Pro Tour was there in Manitowoc for the Silver Cup, right? And that weekend I met Nate Perkins. And he asked what I was doing for the rest of the year and just asked if I wanted to come to California. And I'm like, well, I'm supposed to go back to Spain, but California sounds great. Okay. So we went out to California and actually helped Nico with Fly Life for a little while and did some stuff with that. And then he was just going on tour and I had to make this decision. Am I going to go back to Spain? Am I going to go back to Wisconsin? What am I going to do? And I just kind of felt it out and realized that this thing that I already liked, taking photos of disc golf tournaments, I could just do that. And there wasn't someone that we had Rebecca Heim with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But besides that, there was one person taking photos at these events. So I just found this gap and threw myself right into it. And at first, I technically wasn't doing it for pay, but I think that I was just at this point where I was like, I just need to build up my portfolio and I don't want to do it for pay if I'm not good at it. I want to be the best that I can be at this. And then I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to get paid what I deserve and I'm going to be the best at what I'm doing. And I feel like I've gotten to that point. I mean, not humble, but I'm being honest.
No, absolutely. I mean,
that's impressive.
Well, I mean, you've put in the time. You obviously have the eye and the skill set for it, and then you've now put yourself in a position to hone all of those skills to then become sought after and as you say, the best at it. And there's nothing to be shy or humble about that process because I know you're out there working. We all know that we all know that you're out there working, I should say, and there's no better way to do it than just fully immerse yourself. And
right.
You were. I always struggle when people talk about, oh, you're so lucky about this or you're so lucky about that. Luck and success doesn't happen overnight. What people think is lucky was something that you've been building on for weeks or months or years in advance, and it finally just hit the right intersection. I'm not a big fan of, you can meet fortunate people or you can, have a good contact from time to time where things might mesh, but you're only in that position because you're good at what you're doing. So all the credit is completely deserved. So now we're going to transition from that into the next process. You're talking about the tour life, Disc Golf Tourist, a vlog series that you and Paige have released, and we've seen a couple of great videos for that. And then we're going to take that a step further. I'm going to jump right to it. A really cool experience that I wish I was could also partake in is New Year's Eve, Croatia. Give us the details. What does that mean?
Right. So we're going from December 29th to January 5th. We're going to Croatia to a national park. We're going to host 2 PDGA events and a clinic. And really just, it's really focused on just hanging out with whoever is coming. There's 27 spots on the bus with us, and we're just road tripping with everyone. That's the idea. We want those intimate moments. We want those experiences before coffee in the morning and these things that people would never be able to get in any sort of other situation unless they're actually traveling with someone. And I'm a firm believer, if you travel with someone, you have to be, you're living with them. You have to literally be able to spend every single second with them. And that's what we want these people to be able to do. Obviously more with Paige than with me, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to be filming everything. We're going to be putting out a couple different episodes for it. And hopefully we can make it something that we do annually, at least once a year.
Well, and that, of course, is where I think about the expansion. There's clearly no shortage of places to go, but do you see this evolving into, a different, maybe more or less crazy destination, or how will you be arriving at where you're going to go? Will you put it up for vote every year? Hey, it's October. Where should we go in a month? Like, what are you thinking?
Here's the thing. It needs to be somewhere that we are equally as excited to go, because we want that to be a genuine experience. Like, we are genuinely stoked to go to this national park, and we're not going to be faking it. We're going to be right there with them, just as excited to see it. And we want it to be like that. So we're probably not going to go to like Milo MacGyver or something like that, because we're already going there, so it doesn't have that perk.
So if somebody wants to get involved, and I know there's about a 90-second or so kind of trailer out there, but if somebody wants to get involved, give us some of the details. What are the things they need to have or be worried about, in terms of travel? I don't need your whole checklist of the 88 things they should bring, but what are some of this maybe not so obvious things that people should be thinking about if they want to get involved with this?
Well, it's Croatia, and typically you think beaches with Croatia, but it's going to be really cold, so they need to be prepared for that, and because we're not going to have any whiners.
Wow.
But really, yeah, I would bring just a camera and warm clothes, and the rest, your disc golf stuff, because there are events going on. But besides that, I think just a willingness to actually explore, because we really want to get into it there.
If you had to guess, what do you feel like will be percentage of disc golf centric as opposed to, say, everything else? If you had to somehow put out a dividing line somewhere, how do you think that will break down in terms of if somebody's looking at this?
I would say 50-50. Okay. Yeah, because one of the other days that there's not an event, we're still going to a course to play. I think it's going to be about 50-50, maybe even more so, because the first and last days are travel days, really. So.
All right. And where can they find info? What do they need to do?
Yeah, I would go to youtube.com/Alyssa Van Lanen, and you can see our trailer, and it has all the information, itinerary, everything you need on there.
Okay. And now, when you talk about itineraries and that type of stuff, I don't want to say you're acting as a travel agent. I think you guys are kind of just, helping push people in the right direction. But how does that break down financially? What do people have to be concerned about? What's included or what's not, and where are those lines drawn for what they should be thinking about if they're budgeting for this?
Yeah, really, the only thing that's not included is the flight when you're looking at it. So you do have to figure out your way there and back.
Awesome. Everything else is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys going to have any kind of special badges, a tourist badge or pins or something?
We were thinking about making shirts. We just had a logo made that we're printing on some discs and stuff. So I don't know, maybe some bright ones so then you can see us coming from afar.
And I know, I don't know how much you did or didn't see earlier of our show, but what are your plans? We know what ours are. What are your plans for 2019? Pro tours, national tours, those types of things. What do you have in store? Anything out of the ordinary?
I'm going to be going to all the major events. I am probably going to be taking some of the weekends off that I did other things. I did some A tiers and stuff this year that I'm probably going to be taking off. I was a little bit burnt out by the end of the year, and I don't want really that to happen again. I also am going to be focusing a lot more on doing the video stuff because I want something for me, and that's what I want to be working on right now. So there will be a lot more videos this year.
What would you say, and we'll go from a photographer perspective, what would you say is the number one misconception out there with regards to disc golf photography? And it's a broad stroke, but what would you say the number one misconception out there is?
The number one misconception. I think people in general think photography is just going out and snapping a photo. Mm-hmm. And that's true also with disc golf. And there's so much more about where I'm putting myself, not even just camera settings, even besides that, even when I hand my camera to Nate and tell him to take a photo, there's so many things that he's not thinking about. I am looking at it from a disc golf mindset. I'm thinking about what their next shot's going to be and what angle I have to be at. But also I know every single player, okay, this is actually crazy. I know when they're done throwing, which side they're going to turn to when they're done. And that is it's not even just like the player, it's what that player is and where the audience is. So there's certain players that right after they throw, they turn away from the audience, and some that turn towards the audience. And I know that down to each player. So there's just so much more that goes into it than people actually realize.
Yeah, it's something that we've always said about experience with our cameramen as well. You have to know that, your Chris Dickerson, that first one, or your James Conrad, they're going to try to psych you out a few times before you get it. And the experience that our cameraman very similar in how you can learn each player, learn all their tendencies and what they plan on doing, where you have to stand so that you know that when they fall off the tee pad, they're not going to be right in your shot. So that's
Right.
there's so much that people don't think about when it comes to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Or even is something as small as I know that for like Katrina Allen, I have to be on the other side of the fairway. Even if she's throwing backhand, if I'm in front of her, I have to be on the other side of the fairway to get her face.
Yeah.
And I know that about her. So I specifically, she's up to throw and I quick switch sides just so I can make sure I get her face and the disc exactly where I want it to be and be balanced. Like there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, there is a lot to be said about experienced cameramen, photography, and as Johnny was just saying, video. Also, to me, it becomes the reason you can't hire someone off Craigslist for a day to go shoot disc golf video, for instance, is because that person not only needs to know, okay, they're right-handed or left-handed, and then they're throwing a forehand or a backhand, and then what the shot is like, and is Paul McBeth likely to throw? He's got a wide open field. Is he going to throw a big hyzer? Is he going to throw a low line hyzer? Like those are all things, just like you're saying, you learn as you know the players and you know the situations. Those are all things that you learn out there, and you can't fake that information. Like you can't study in a book. You need to physically be out there and take that all in, and then file that in your own brain for the future.
And then throw it all away when Simon throws.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And just really for me in the beginning, it was who is more affected by me being there. I know which players are okay with me being a little bit more in their face and which ones I just have to completely back off because I'm going to mess up their game. And that's the most important part, that I'm out of the way, right? So.
Yeah, so if you could think of it, like who's the biggest whiner or crybaby out there right now? Is there any?
Yeah, put her on the spot.
I would say some of the older guys,
Okay.
because I think they're not used to having the cameras as much in their face.
Fair enough.
And that, I mean,
it's just an older it's maybe a little bit more of an older mentality where
Maybe.
they don't, and they're not used to it, and B, their focus isn't necessarily, they're not concerned maybe about social media. They're not concerned about their branding as much. They're not concerned about all of the secondary and tertiary things that come with good media coverage. They want to be there to play golf, and they want everyone else to shut up and be not in their way.
mm-hmm.
So it is an interesting balance there. All right, I'll give you an easier one. Who are a couple of your favorites to get? And maybe it's facial expressions, maybe it's their form. Who are a couple of your standout favorites of people to photograph out there?
I would say James Conrad is definitely a favorite.
I mean, with
I
that
love
hair,
the
right?
hair.
Yep.
Actually, he's really awesome. He'll take his hair out in the middle of a tournament. He'll take his hair out just so it flips, just for the photo.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Of course.
he's very helpful in that way.
Uh-huh.
When I can get a good photo of Sarah Hokum, I am so ecstatic because it's really hard to shoot her.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she doesn't come up with her face until the very last second. So to get the disc and her face in it is nearly impossible. So when I do, I'm so happy. I like all of the typical people that you probably like for video as well that show a lot of emotion. Nico is fun to shoot. Even though he never likes the photos, he always tells me he looks bad. Every single time he'll message me, "Hey, don't post that. I look bad in that one."
He sent me that actually. I rewind to a USDGC from about 4 years ago. I put up a bunch of pictures, some of which had him in it, and I tagged him, and they kept getting untagged, and I keep retagging him. I thought maybe I wasn't doing something right. No, he later then messaged me. He's like, I'd rather you not tag me in that photo. I was like, okay, fair enough.
I know.
I guess.
I asked everyone about that photo too, and no one said it was a bad photo. It was just him.
Nico.
He's
Yeah. Do you get annoyed by the I don't want to call it a criticism. Do you get annoyed when people then want to point out and get argumentative about the subject matter? And what I mean by that is when somebody wants to say, "Oh, look at that, Yuli's clearly foot faulting there." That comes to mind. Or the people, and just even more annoyingly to me is when people are like, "Oh my God, I I can't stand watching Sarah Holcomb throw. It looks like it hurts my back every time. And then they want to then rip on her form. Do you get annoyed when people like want to pick apart the subject matter?
I think it's silly, but honestly, I think that we're there to capture things how they happened. So if that's what happened, whatever. Same thing with Nico not liking the photos, you know, that's what actually happened. That's what you look like. So
deal with it.
If people can't, yeah, that's okay. And the more comments, the more your videos and your photos get spread all over the place. So it's okay. Any PR is good PR.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I'll go a step further and say it's interesting to think about, you know, one of the things in a media agreement I thought about was whose responsibility is it to edit or bleep or whatever if there happens to be swearing in a video. And I've always challenged and thought, man, that's not fair. Somebody's swearing in a video and I have to go do more work as an editor. I have to now go do more work to fix that. And then it's
part of the media agreement now.
Yeah, just the PR that falls out from that, whether it's beeped or whether it's not, and then what the world thinks of it, and they make their own decisions. It's all kind of funny, the different hoops we all jump through. All right, Alyssa, is there anything else you want to share with us before we let you go tonight?
I mean, I'd kind of like to know more about your history of how you got into things, but we can talk about that a different day.
Yeah, there's some open sores and wounds right now. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'd love to catch up, and we definitely should have you more. We'd love to continue talking about photography. I will ask this. Maybe it's not a fair question. I was going to say, is there almost like a reverse sexism in disc golf photography? And by that I only meant I see you. We are so blessed in the Midwest. We've had Jenny Cook, who now has 2 kids but does not photo as much as she used to, and she's just this amazing human and photographer. And then Lauren Lakeberg, also in the area, amazing photographer. She's out there from a little bit more often. And I always think of them because they're so close and so local to me. But then, like you said, there's Stu Mullenberg. John Hollingshead really came onto the scene a couple years ago. So maybe it's not as lopsided as I thought it was. But I don't know. I don't have a question there. I was just rambling.
Okay.
Give us one tip. One tip. If somebody wants to go out and shoot disc golf, video or photo. Let's stick to photo this time. One tip, if someone said, I'd really love to go out and start shooting disc golf. I got an A tier in my backyard next weekend. What would be your pro tip?
Try to find interesting angles. Everyone always just tries to shoot from right here, just eye level, and that's what you're used to seeing. So it's just not going to be interesting no matter what you get, even if the timing's right. It just will look like everything else. So try and either get low or high or in front of the person, which is, I think, the most interesting. Like when I started, that was my goal, to just not have shots of like the back of people's just spread out little thing like that, because that's the only disc golf photos I saw before I started. So just try and find something different. Okay,
I like it. All right, Alyssa. Well, enjoy some of your weather. You're not in the frigid Wisconsin temps right now.
So lucky.
Earlier, a couple weeks ago, I know you told me you're gonna be in Texas for a good portion of the off season, and Croatia, all sorts of exciting places, and stay warm wherever you are.
I'll try.
All right. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah, having me, guys.
All right. Good night. All right. Again, Alyssa Van Lanen.
I think that's the first time she's stepped in front of our cameras on purpose.
Yeah, she said she's always trying to get that great shot, and so glad to have her. And if you guys haven't seen it, and I know it's really fresh, which was another, she was overdue and probably being on anyway, but I went out, I watched the Disc Golf Tourist video she did with Paige, and then obviously they're promoting going to Croatia, and I think it's just the start. It is very much
she's very talented. She's very
big
very
things
talented.
To come. So glad to have her. And as Johnny pointed out, we'll probably see more of her on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I know she works with the PDGA National Tour and majors, and works with the PDGA media crew all around. So pretty good stuff. And thank you so much for joining us. So real quick, I want to get into a really super quick story, which is back around 2012 or 2013, what we were seeing and what was happening, and Johnny V and I were very much a part of pretty much volunteering our services and our time with Disc Golf Planet as they were broadcasting disc golf, had come into the scene. The Memorial was very much obviously a highly anticipated event at that time, kicking off the national tour. And it had great courses. It has, in terms of covering disc golf, they were very, very coverage friendly. And I'll fast forward a few years of that happening. Disc Golf Planet happens. Bobby Brown was on the crew one year. Myself, Johnny, Crazy, Dave Greenwell, Mace Man, Rebecca Duffy, all these
Jim
people.
Oates, don't forget Jim Oates.
Jim Oates, lots of people. I shouldn't even start naming them because I'm going to neglect someone. But anyway, lots of people. And at one point, there became a crossroad where Disc Golf Planet was going to still cover the event. I want to say this was 2013, if I recall. And they were out there to cover the event, either 12 or 13. And I had taken on a little bit more of a media role in terms of actually developing my own videos and doing the disc golf guy. And it was at that time I remember saying to Johnny and others, it would be really cool that while they're covering, being they the Disc Golf Planet, while they're covering the women one day at Vista, or I was thinking actually at Fountain, while they're covering the women at Fountain, it would be awesome to have some kind of coverage over at Vista. And that was well before we were in two separate locations. Technology was a world of difference. And at that point, I had reached out to and talked to Johnny here and talked about what could we do, what kind of things could we provide that could still be available. And I remember I probably having an email saying, I absolutely am not putting up live video anywhere. That's insane. That's so expensive. That's crazy. I will never be doing that. That's crazy. Of course, I was recording things and putting them up in post at that time, but live streaming was a different world. Facebook didn't offer it. YouTube didn't offer it at that time. None of those were options. And one of the options that was in Disc Golf Media was a website that you could call in and basically host like a live call-in radio show. And a podcast was happening on that same platform. And through that, along with a very, very, is rudimentary the word? Basic live scoring system existed, along with the concept of Flickr, but taking maybe even a photo. And if you had a fancy like phone or modem, you could even upload from the phone or the camera, I should say, right to Flickr. That was mind-blowing through a MiFi card. Technology was just in a totally different place. Everything we take for granted today did not exist in 2012 or was just starting in 2012. And my thought was, how cool would it be to have like a Twitter feed in with the live scoring that the PDGA is maybe doing, along with possibly like a live play-by-play on audio, because I can't do video because that's way too expensive. And that was really the beginning of how I envisioned Smashbox. Like that was it. It was the Memorial. It was a time where something, there was a need. And I thought, how cool would that be? Like, let's try it. I mean, it was, I remember meeting others at BW3s, I think yourself and others, like, okay, how do I design this website that's got like a quadrant and it's got all these different things on it? So you could be watching pictures come in, you could be watching scores come in. There was a Twitter feed, and then you could click on a little button and you could listen to play-by-play. Like that was, dare I say, the original theory and concept to everything that was Smashbox. That's I'd already bought the website, all of that. That was before Johnny was really involved at all.
I was more a consultant.
You were a consultant in that way, yes. That's how things got started. And I think about the Memorial, and I think about walking around in somewhere, I think it's still recorded, walking around at the Vista course and calling the plays. And it was a test. There was like 4 or 5 of us on a call. It was a private call that people could be tuned into. And I remember walking around, and I remember pitching this idea to some people at the PDGA, which were I'll say, lukewarm to it. And I walked around and did a test call, and people were listening, and it was, I just remember walking up the hill on hole 17 and running into Brian Graham and saying, hey, Brian, and I kind of did a walk and talk while play was happening. Those were the early days.
Is this nostalgia night?
It's a little bit nostalgic, but and again, I sorry for the long random tangent here. It just makes me think about, it ties together Memorial, it ties together Smashbox beginnings, and to me, it really ties together where, I guess the point is, where technology and where media opportunities go next. That's what I'm trying to get at. Where does it go from here? Where does Steve Dodge, the Pro Tour, the National Tour, live coverage, post-production coverage, Twitter, the Twitter feed that didn't exist until Marty Gregoire, who now works for the PDGA, until he made it a thing to cover.
He did.
Disc golf on Twitter. And for the longest time, I'm gonna backtrack, guys. At one point, the Twitter feed for disc golf national tours event was the coolest damn thing on the planet. It was like,
yep,
it's what we had outside of the scores. It actually told
a story.
Stories. And we continue to evolve. We continue to grow. We continue to,
well, maybe what Smashbox needs to do is skip live video and go right to virtual reality.
Yeah, virtual. I don't know.
360 something or other.
VR. Yeah. EGVR.
Register it right now before someone else does. I'm sure that as most 4-letter thing domain names, it's gone. So real quick, I want to, last week good. Can't stand Zoo. Sit tight. Last week we did a little giveaway with Disc Golf Nerd for, I believe it was the Latitude Fuji.
Sure.
And for anyone that did a super chat. And he sent me the winner today. And I'm going to announce it right now. It's Can't Stand Zoo.
Oh, no way.
Really?
Oh, my gosh. Ultimately, that sounds rigged.
Right here, 9 hours ago, 12:53, he emailed that to me. So, Can't Stand Zoo, please reach out to me on Facebook or something, or directly out to Disc Golf Nerd if you want. If I don't hear from you, I'll assume you went there. And we can get you in contact. We'll make sure that happens, and we'll get all that figured out. So, congratulations on winning that disc.
Sweet.
You want to know? This is gonna. Well, I don't care. This is pretty funny. I got an email or a message from Dixon going, "What?" Because he had no clue. Just people are posting on his board like, "Did you hear?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know what's going on."
Oh yeah, Dixon.
Yeah, so
we were fired.
We had to notify Dixon he was fired.
Dixon.
And I don't know. I'm joking about that. And I mean, he didn't know, but we don't know what Steve's plans are for next year. Dixon could be part of those plans and part of the crew next year. For all
I heard that Dixon lobbied to get us fired. He was sick of us.
He was really upset at me always making fun of him.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of.
I knew I should have got him drunk in that final event.
You were in the liquor room,
in the liquor liquor closet.
So
that would have been the best way to do it. Oh, Dixon. One way or another. Anyway, all right. I think we've covered most of the normal stuff. I think we could. Do we have anything else? Well, we do. We have a couple quick things.
Okay.
Social media. Last week there was some conversation about players going places. Was it right after our broadcast that it was officially announced that Ricky Wysocki is
no longer will not be re-signing with Latitude.
Okay.
So, there's that announcement.
Okay.
And again, you want to buy the rumor mills? Right now, the rumor mills are Paul's going to Discraft and Ricky's going to Innova. Those are the rumor mills.
No, wrong. The real rumor, the one that makes so much sense, is that Paul and Ricky
are joining forces
to start their own company. So if you want the hot take of being dead wrong, you can say that Paul and Ricky have joined forces to, in fact, start their own company. Not happening.
Good call. Not going to happen. But some real news, which we actually broke a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
We did, that's what we do. It was announced today officially by Discmania that they are opening up a Colorado location.
What? I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. We worked that out assignment a couple weeks ago, but you can go to the Discmania website and take a look at the information about them opening up their new location just outside of Fort Collins, I think is what I saw.
Sure.
I read the article and I forget the name. They said it was a couple hours from Denver, and I think they said Fort Collins. So ultimately, take a look at that, and you can see they said, be prepared. 2018 was the year of the Shield. I don't know if they've got a cool thing for 2019 yet.
Well, I'm not into that. I don't know. What do you do? Cosplay? I'm not into that stuff. But what? No. What for you? If you were marketing director
Of
you and UC, join forces to come out with a marketing plan or a marketing mantra for next year. This year being year of the Shield. What would that be? What do you got?
Would you go with would you follow with
I'm just gonna say I don't know. Go on.
Year of the Sword? I mean,
Does it have to be year of?
It's easier that way. That takes away a whole year. You don't have to think about.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's why I'm not in marketing.
I'm just saying I don't know anything when I don't watch any of those movies or medieval things, or I don't do any of that stuff. I'm not smart like that. So that's why I didn't know if there would be another piece of equipment or armor, or if that would be a place to go. Who knows? I mean, it could be the year of the camel.
Well, I believe it's.
I mean, they could switch to an animal,
sure,
right?
That doesn't make any sense.
I never claimed I would.
I did see that they are releasing a 10-year. Is it the PD2? Again,
Okay.
I'm really bad with the numbered lettered discs, but they also had a release of one of their 10-year discs, as we saw. I believe it's the 10-year anniversary of The Boss as well. Some of the furthest throne discs that we've ever seen. So some fun stuff going on out there right now.
Okay, yeah. Hannah Macbeth is out on the board. It says first she had a question, and then she said, "I believe Terry is looking for live action role playing, not cosplay." Could cosplay not also be a component though? Like that's where you dress up and go to
It is a convention.
A convention where
something.
people dress up usually as some kind of characters, and within being a character, you might be some kind of knight or some other.
Sure,
medieval...
I'm sure that could all be tied in. I'm not extremely familiar with the cosplay community.
Yeah, sure, you're not. Yeah. So yes, or LARP, I think would be maybe it would have been a more fitting example. And Hannah, so Hannah on the board had asked. She said, "Does that mean I'm fired too?" Hannah, I don't have the answers. I'm not going to say you brought things down. I'm not going to say you were part of the demise. I mean, you may have been on the second or third last live show that we put out, but I'm not going to place blame, Hannah.
She got picked up right away. I mean,
Fulcrum.
You have a fallback. What do we have?
You have a fulcrum. I mean, you stepped right in. You moved right from us right on to the next one.
Stepped right on us, more like, to get to the position.
As long as we can be a good stepping stone for
everybody.
That's what we can ask for.
This is getting awkward.
All right. Reading some of the silly. We all know where Smashbox is going after this. Right.
Good
over to
call.
Cosplay
Hannah ruined
Comic-Con.
Paul's career, and now she ruined ours.
She might be right.
All right. No, we're not going anywhere. Don't be fooled.
We'll talk a little bit about that more. That is actually a good question in the after show. We can talk about 2019 plans live, postulate on a few things. That's certainly something we can discuss a little further in the after show. But however, in other news, it looks like there was a little bit of chatter about some of our players, not only moving teams, but then also...
What are they doing in Texas?
Oh my gosh, what's going on in Texas? Do you know?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So first of all, a couple days ago, there was the infamous Paul McBigfoot sighting, where there were some suspicious photos taken by someone that made Paul look as if he was carrying a lightning bag with a Sprite in it,
Which
is
I think
is
is a
dead
no-brainer.
giveaway, which is a dead giveaway. It's a setup. Paul doesn't really drink Sprite.
Okay,
Um,
you say so.
I don't think he does. Rumor has it he's a Dr. Pepper guy, and he doesn't drink much other soda. Hannah would tell us though.
You're confusing with Dixon, and that's going to start a real problem.
No, I'm not.
I'm just saying.
I mean, if that's what Dixon does too, but anyway. So it turns out, or maybe it doesn't, but everyone should know by now that those were set up by one of the Jomez guys. And Paul is in Texas, and no one really knew why. Some of us had some speculation, but it turns out last night, or maybe it was the night before, I think it was yesterday, Brody Smith made a post on his social media saying, "I'm here with Paul McBeth and Simon Lizotte doing a trick shot video."
Oh, spoilers, bro.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, no, not
Brody,
you, Brody. Yeah.
Oh, Brody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's why I'm sure one of many reasons why Paul may be in Texas, and that's where for those of you that don't know, that is where Jomez is centrally located in the off season. Jonathan's probably down there fishing or something, as he tends to do.
All about that bass.
He is. He's all about that bass.
Okay, so and I'm gonna go ahead and throw in another one just to get you guys going. There's more going on than just that. So Paul McBeth and Brody, Brody, Simon, trick shot stuff. There's even more that's going to be taking place, and wish I could share it with you, but you're going to watch it unfold, and I think you're going to see it sooner than later. So,
do you think so? I don't know.
I've been told.
Okay.
Some McBeth sources have told me that you're going to see some information and updates unfold a little bit pretty soon.
Tight with his parents?
yes. His brother. The diaries. I cracked into the McBeth diaries.
You cracked into him.
And
contacted John, and he spilled the beans.
I've got it all. I've got all the goods that I need. So yes, when I knew when Simon was talking a few weeks ago with us, all of that was a little bit in the works, and it obviously should be a lot of fun when you put all those guys together. We're expecting some pretty solid videos to come out.
Most certainly.
All right. Yeah. And Hannah is on the board saying, doesn't LeBron James drink Sprite? Yeah, I believe that was a pretty sizable contract. And if Hannah, if you are possibly indicating or hinting at
Paul's going to the Lakers. He's following LeBron to the Lakers.
Group getting Paul a sponsorship deal with Sprite. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down there. I'm putting the puzzle pieces together. That DGI group, Sprite, Paul McBeth, it's a thing. Look for it in 2019.
I'll hold my breath.
You should. All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover in the real world before we head into?
I don't believe so. I don't think there's really much news going on. Obviously, we're running into a slower season of the year.
I do have one other quick piece of news.
Good.
That is worthwhile. Of course, besides signing up for the Memorial, besides signing up for Glass Blown Open, go to glassblownopen.com. All the details are out there. Make sure you're doing that. Also, speaking of our friends over at Dynamic Discs, Paige Bierkes with a new van posted on the social medias. A van that's like, you could fit like 44 pages in.
Either
Bierkes
one.
or Page, yep. Bierkes or Pierce. And looks like she's going to be on the tour. I think there was a little follow-up to say not only did Dynamic Disc help support her, but she's looking forward to being on the tour full-time next year. So obviously we wish her the best.
She signed a 2-year agreement as well.
Exactly, a 2-year agreement. So they've locked her in.
And did you see they had like a Paige Bierkes day in Emporia?
Yes, I saw that. She was in front of like a city council.
Very cool stuff.
All the amazing things that you would expect, not only from Dynamic Disc, but then also from the city of Emporia. And you can't say it enough. The way that those two have meshed and been symbiotic over these last few years is nothing but hats off to Dynamic Disc. All of the hard work, the customer service, and the way that they treat people and the players and employees and everyone, it all comes full circle, and you see that. So, and in little other randomly known facts, if you didn't see from Bobby Brown or others, Veterans Day, initiated? I don't want to say discovered. Started?
Correct.
Founded? What's the right term for that? First recognized?
Yeah, go with that.
Established?
Established. That's a good
Veterans
term.
Day, established in Emporia, Kansas. So one of the...
Shout out to Bobby Brown, who is a veteran himself,
along
and
with all the
others. Yep.
All right. I think that's twice I've said it, so that means we have to move on and call it for our regular show. So for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, I want to thank Disc Golf Nerd for the shout out and for the contribution that he made from last week's super chat. If you want me, Dan Harbeck, to keep getting haircuts, or you want us to stay on the air, we're going to need all the super chat we can get. We're the Smashbox.
I know this is going to sound silly. Thanks to Steve Dodge for coming on and firing us.
Yes.
But really, thanks for coming on the show. And he knew what he was stepping into. I mean, he stepped into our podcast and let everybody know what was going on. So shout out to Steve Dodge for doing that for us.
Yeah, I mean, and if you guys want to, Alta World, if you want to reach out to him, have him maybe, fire you guys, or if you, anyone else want, just have him on. It's great.
He's a great guest. He's a great guest.
I mean, and a little funny side fact that Steve Dodge was, in fact, SmashBoxxTV's first ever podcast guest. I'm not I'm not at all about to retract any of that, or memories. So for Johnny V, Terry Miller, along with Steve Dodge,
Alyssa Van
Lanen, Keith Murray, all of our amazing Smashies. Stay tuned. We're gonna give you an after show. We've got stuff to give away. We got random things to talk about, and we love and adore each and every one of you. We love our patrons even more than ever, and we'll continue to do so. We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 221 After Snow. Oh, I should have saved that for later in the year after snow.
There's only a little. There has been some snow.
It was clever.
We're still here.
We're still here.
Anything you want to tell me on the air?
I'm gonna need to pack a few things up here before I go tonight. Welcome, everyone, as we just wrapped up our regular show, which wasn't so regular. It
was a little
different.
Yes.
Unique. Interesting. Maybe more than normal. Maybe not.
Breaking news. That's what we do.
Yes. We had the exclusive, and we even exclusively cover our own demise and our own our own firing. Here we are.
Still.
Here we are. So, yeah. All right. On a serious tone, as many of you already probably saw or listened to, of course, we welcomed knowingly welcomed Steve Dodge to the show. We had him during the first few minutes of our opening of our regular show. Steve Dodge really just letting the world know that the Pro Tour is going to take a slightly different direction in terms of providing live coverage. He wants to bring all components of live coverage and post-production. He wants to bring them in-house. And in-house meaning inside the Disc Golf Pro Tour under that umbrella. Someone earlier on the chat board on YouTube had said, well, we should have seen this coming as, the Smashbox wasn't putting out a live feed to the Smashbox channel on YouTube in the last year or two. Instead, it was exclusively to the Pro Tour channel. We have to say, we've known all along that Steve has a vision of self-containing the media and the entire tour. There is a certain branding and consistency that he would like as part of the Pro Tour.
There's a lot, for those of you that don't realize, which I'm going to step aside real quick. There's a thread on Dixon's page about this going on. As I said, he was kind of just notified. Corey Merle says regarding what's going on with the Pro Tour, he says, and Jomez and CCDG, meaning that odds are they are not coming back. Corey says they'd be happy to have us film MPO3 or FPO2, but other than that, it's a no-fly zone this year.
Well, just update your drone.
Yeah, good call. You got to talk to the military. So here's my understanding of how Steve is looking at the tour and the media. He wants it on his page, on his YouTube channel, for multiple reasons. If you can get all of that on your page, it makes it very easy to sell to outside people. You can show them, hey, here are all my numbers. This is where everybody is going to be.
Exactly.
You are going to get 100,000, 200,000 views per event or whatever it is. And so it makes it very simple. That's why we agreed originally to say, okay, we'll stop putting it on Smashbox. We will only put it on the Pro Tour page, because we knew that was Steve's message. Now, when you have, and there's people out there saying, well, how can you give up Jomez? He's got 100,000 followers. Like, he's the biggest number. Hands down agree. But for now, Jomez has a huge head start on everybody. But as we all know, people will go where the eyeball or where the action is. So if the Pro Tour, if all the action on the Pro Tour is on the Pro Tour channel, they will start jumping subscribers leaps and bounds.
Absolutely.
And that's Steve's plan. So you can say, how can you get away from Jomez? In the long run, I'm sure Steve is looking to surpass Jomez.
Of course he is.
Everybody should be. CCDG should be looking for that. Smashbox should be looking for that. Jomez is in the lead.
I'm not trying, by the way.
Jomez is in the lead, and we're all chasing right now. And they have a phenomenal product. Steve is looking to bring that in-house, and that does a lot of things that can really improve. He will get all of the YouTube dollars. Mm-hmm. He will get all the YouTube eyeballs. He can sell it to sponsors.
All the analytics.
He'll know exactly who's watching, with their age, gender, as much as YouTube can tell you, as Google can tell you. So there is a method to this madness. And clearly, it's nothing that we wanted to see happen, but I understand why it's happening.
Well, and to take that one step further and say, if Johnny and I tomorrow said we're done with Smashbox, Steve Dodge would be starting over, so to speak, in searching for a new provider. If Jomez said, you know what, we're going to go film
pickleball.
I was going to say bocce ball, but no, if we're going to go film some other sport next year, and if CCDG, if all these individual entities did step aside, they're removing themselves, and then there's no power or leverage, and there may be a gaping hole there that would be tougher to fulfill. Steve Dodge is trying to get out in front of that ahead of time and saying, well, if I have all of this stuff in-house under my control from the get-go, there won't be presumably a gaping hole to fill later.
Correct. I will not have to rely on anybody. I can steer the ship.
Exactly. So There is certainly an understanding that's taking place there. And excitedly, I will say this, and I know it might sound funny, but I will say the same thing we did when Fulcrum was announced to be working with the USDGC. I'm excited to see what they can provide. I'm excited to see what they can do. I'm excited to know the numbers that they not only get, and which isn't a direct comparison to us, but not only the numbers that can be achieved, but also the salaries and the compensation that can be achieved. We have unofficially heard, but unofficially yet officially heard, that Fulcrum was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 times the cost that we typically are on a given weekend. In filming 2 days of the USDGC as opposed to filming 3 days at a normal Pro Tour event, you're talking about 5 to 7 times the budget that we were typically charging. If we could ever dream of successfully charging and collecting that kind of income, we know that we could take our production to a whole nother level. And this isn't a complaint about, oh, we have less money, so we don't do as well. I'll just say, if we get to a point where the media and the sport can continue to grow and thrive, and we're talking about that kind of money, I'll be damned if we're not giving you the best possible live broadcast humanly possible for that kind of money. And when those numbers are in front of us, and whether we're commanding them or we're being granted them or the money's falling out of the sky or however it gets there, that's going to be a damn good day for not only us, but for all of disc golf.
Yep.
I don't even want to go off on, I can't imagine what we would do with what was brought in or what was charged for the USDGC. In fact, now a month later, it disgusts me almost to think about the opportunities and the money that could have been done, that things that could have happened when you're talking about that kind of money.
And here's, to clarify, Fulcrum got paid industry standards.
Yeah.
It's not like they got paid an exorbitant amount.
And to be clear, I'm not mad at them.
Correct. No, by no means. I think, and they put on a product that a first-time production company does. They made mistakes. They had some really nice, cool things. Like, I really liked the T-pad shot with the little GoPro. Very cool. Something you can do when you have your production on site. Very cool. And I'm not saying that with their money, our broadcast would be 100 times better than theirs, because they spent their money in different positions. Like, they had that big stage that they put up. They have, 3 or 4 guys. They had a drone operator, that did a live drone stuff. So, and all these people need to get paid. They have, I'm sure they had a graphics person. That's all stuff that, as Steve had even said, we were what was the phrasing he used? A price.
Value proposition.
Very good value proposition.
Which I think is code for we undercharged.
We charged what we could in order to do what we had to do. And it would, I would love a budget like that with the, more so, not even, the budget would be nice, but the people. Because if we didn't get paid any more than what we get paid now, but we were able to bring on that many more people and pay them, I can only imagine some of the cool things that we could do. Now, someone asks, like, they understand, what are our plans for 2019? We're not sure.
I'm not doing anything till I hit the lottery, man. I'm playing it so hard. I'm going so hard on that lottery.
You should. Hey, I saw the $1.5 billion lottery has yet to be claimed. Like, it was won.
I better check the ticket I didn't buy.
Yeah, I forgot to buy that night too. We're in touch with the PDGA. We always are. We're in touch with national tours. We always are. We've done the GBO for a few years. We'll be in touch with them, as we always are. There are other opportunities for us. This could open up different avenues. There are things maybe that we'll try that we haven't had time or inclination to do because we've been so busy with the Pro Tour. I honestly, I'm not 100% sure what 2019 is going to bring. I'm sure we'll be doing a few live broadcasts. That's in the books. We'll be reaching out to probably more places now that we have these free weekends that we couldn't before. And whether that's a scaled down version of what we did for the Pro Tour for smaller events, or whether we can look at doing something more. It's a setback, clearly, but it's not the end of the world.
Well, I feel like it also provides a fresh chance at some new opportunities, not just new events, but new ideas.
Mhm.
You know, right now we've got throw, catch, lead card, and those are all seemingly some of the obvious choices, of course. But that doesn't mean we can't get a little bit more creative, and whether it's with different events or with different people, and doing just some other ideas that can be out there, and possibly having different scenarios depending on, on different venues. I mean, there was a lot of really positive response to having a professional looking booth at the USDGC, and we concur. There was great, and
it looked beautiful.
And fully in Jeff Spring's credit, at the Pro Worlds this year, he very much pushed for, let's have an outdoor booth, and I very much said that presents a whole nother mess of challenges with our crew and with our budget and with our equipment, and we opted not to do that. Although Jeff really had that great idea.
It was a cool window behind you guys, though.
No, not there. That was at Vibram.
Oh, that was at Vibram. You're right.
Correction. MVP Open. Sorry, I owe $1.
Yeah.
Damn it. Do we still owe $1 for next year? Because it's still the wrong. Okay.
We don't know what it is going to be next year now.
That's true. Oh, he was wearing an MVP shirt. Anyway,
he was.
I digress. So, there's just a lot of opportunities, and of course, and here is maybe yet another concept or fallout from this. It may provide us the idea or incentivize us to be a little bit more creative in some of these opportunities. Maybe dare I say, maybe there's an event that fits well for a pay-per-view model. Maybe there's some exclusivity events. Maybe I just keep thinking there's so many other ways that we can still bring good entertainment value to you while watching some of the best disc golfers in the world. There's a lot of ways to go about it, and this is far from the end by any means. So we'll continue to look forward to the events that we do work with, and I think some events are going to say, hey, you do have available weekends, and hey, we do have a good field or a good course or a good atmosphere. We do want to have live coverage, and that might now seem a little bit more appealing or attainable for some of these people to do. So
yeah, and yeah, like you said, I will be interested to see the product that is put out, and it's no offense to Steve or the Pro Tour or whatever they're bringing. I expect the first event to suck. You're bringing in new people.
I don't know if that's fair. Only because
I will. Okay, maybe not suck. I expect them to make rookie mistakes that we have worked our way around, that we know inside and out.
And I don't. I expect that Steve, and I say that because Steve, a big component of what Steve wants to move forward with doing, as he said when we talked to him, is he wants that level of expectations that are there now. He wants to meet or exceed all of those.
Oh, sure.
So with that being said, I would expect if he's bringing in professionals and he's going to bring this in-house and there's going to be that control there, I fully anticipate it to be obviously as good or better. That's what my expectation is.
I think it will get there, and it won't take long. I'm saying the very first event. That I think that let me put it this way. My expectations are high, and I don't believe they'll meet my expectations for the first event. I have faith that whatever Steve brings in is going to be good. Steve wouldn't get rid of us and not have that plan. I fully believe that. Like I said, I have faith in Steve. I truly do. I think he has the right mindset, and I love what the Pro Tour is doing in general on the tour. I think that he will succeed. I'm just setting. I have high expectations, but I'm setting my thoughts that they won't be met for that first event, because I think they are going to make some mistakes that you only run into when you're live and on the cameras and you're on the green, and there are things that will jump up and bite you that you just didn't realize. Something will go awry with live. It always does. Ask Jamie Thomas, ask Fulcrum, who's done as many live shows or more than us, and they had issues at USTGC. I think you're going to see these issues pop up, and they will get through them, and they will get over them. And if it's hugely successful, people will forget that. No, they won't forget, but people will accept that Smashbox isn't there. And they're like, oh, look, we're getting this better coverage because there's more money put in. There's more cameras. There's more coverage. And that's fine. You know, very few people miss Disc Golf Planet because Smashbox came in and filled that void. And if the Pro Tour can go in and fill the Smashbox void, you know, we will be another, you know, little mark in the Pro Tour history.
Well, more exclusive news. I'm going to break it here now. Just comes in. This is via Facebook private messenger. So naturally, I have to share it with you guys.
It's a private messenger.
Paul Ulibarri has said he's interested in possibly boycotting, and I then made the offer. I said, okay, we are just going to follow you to all B and C tiers, and you will be live next year, and we will then co-brand with Paul TV. And he hasn't replied, and I'm assuming his non-reply means yes.
Of course, as you can assume.
We'll break that news right here. Paul Ulibarri every weekend next year right here on Smash Paul TV.
Now, do you think Paul would be upset because, you know, we could bring in Macbeth anytime and still be Smash Paul TV?
I don't know. That could be possible.
How about Yuli Box?
Yuli Box. Yeah, sure. And then we bring in his brother from time to time too. He's quite talented. Very talented.
What does he do? Someone asked me that the other day. What is for a living? What does Pete do?
I think he's pretty much just awesome.
Well, I mean, other than being awesome.
I am remiss to say I'm not sure.
Oh, because I know you just
and I had a great conversation with him. I know he's incredibly versed in, and I know part of his hobbies are flying drones, flying these other special planes that you throw up in the air that like do all sorts of crazy stuff that I forget the technical term for him, but he's really talented in that. He does a lot of different stuff. I know his wife. It's funny. I know that his wife is an engineer at Boeing.
So we know who you pay attention to during conversations. Like, yeah, Pete.
No. I know that his wife. He told me that his wife works at Boeing. I don't know what his if he. I don't want to say if he has a full-time gig. I don't know what it is. I know he just wears a lot of hats and does a lot of things really well.
He's a very talented guy.
I'm not sure that I know exactly what his full-time job is. And I don't want to at all sound dismissive. I believe he might be the stay-at-home dad, which obviously I filled that role very much.
Oh, that would be cool.
For my two daughters over the last 10 years. So, yeah, that's a good question. All right. Can we get to the board here? Is there stuff going on out on the board? As always, here in the after show, just about anything goes. We're usually a pretty open open book here.
People are saying, bring back BattleBox.
BattleBox.
Someone said, no, BattleBox was lame.
Yep. Okay.
It's funny because when Alyssa was talking about how she lives with these players and she sees them and she wants to bring out their personalities, I had a flashback. I'm like, I said the same thing about BattleBox. Like, I want to show these players what they do in their off time. I want to know more about their other hobbies and things like that. And I still truly think BattleBox could be a fun thing. It just requires a lot of time it's a lot of prep time, and it could be something fun and cool. It would need a new shine for sure. So I don't expect to bring it back anytime soon. It's kind of been put on the back burner for now, but I think there is potential there. We'll see.
All right, so let's read down a few more details. It looks like Paul says yes. I'm so down. All right, maybe we'll see if we can get a few words out of Yuli here tonight on air, depending on what he's doing. All right, reading down on the YouTube board. Okay, so everyone's clamoring to get Paul on.
There's a talk about obviously the Jomez thing, and Disc Golf Nerd is saying there's a lot of people trying to mimic or match Jomez's graphics.
Oh, sure.
And because I think I will say, and I've said it before, there are two things that really set Jomez apart. It's their graphics and the consistent commentary they have. Their camera work is good, but those things right now are what really make them shine. The follow flight, the putting distance, all that extra stuff, the little pop-ups they have, all that takes a lot of time and effort, and it does set them apart right now. And everybody's trying to catch up to them, and so far no one's been able to do it.
Correct.
And people are getting close with some things, but ultimately, there is so much. There's so much. This offseason is so much fun.
So we've reached out to Paul. We'll probably be having him in a few minutes. He'll join us via Skype, and we can ask him what his brother does and some of these other questions. I do want to thank a huge shout out. Kobe Geis last week jumped in, helped me knock out. I ended up working with him directly. We knocked out. It was his first ever commentary. Thank you, and thank you, Kobe. I think you killed it. I really appreciate it. He was able to jump on the mic thanks to his boy Christian, who got it all set up. It sounded really good, and it was very well received. I'm going to say that. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. The overall weekend was really well received for Monster on the Mountain. So thank you, Mike Barnett. Thank you, Sun King. Thank you, Discraft. Thank you, DGA all, and then thank you, Kobe of Dynamic Disc for helping out.
For those of you that haven't met Kobe, what an awesome guy. I'm gonna
hug him real good.
You should, which is funny because the first time I saw him and met him, I did not get that impression. I did not. I remember it was at GBO, and
I remember you told me the story about what you thought about him,
and I thought he can't. To me, for whatever reason, and I didn't talk to him. I only kind of saw him, and I was like, that guy he comes out. He's annoying. I swear.
Ouch.
The first time I spoke with him, everything flipped like a coin.
Yeah.
He is the most genuine, lovable, friendly guy you can meet out on tour, and I'm very happy when I get to hang out around him, and hopefully I'll get to do that at GBO this year as well.
Well, Kobe, guys, thank you for the assist on the Monster on the Mountain. Just tonight, I also released a little bit of a FPO montage from the second round, and then an FPO montage for third round. Let me know what you think. Unfortunately, just due to the timing of that event, I couldn't go get shot by shot for all of the women's round, and then also get shot by shot for all of the men's round. Just physically impossible to do with the overlap. So I went with a little bit more of a stylistic approach, and I'd love to know what you guys think of that. They're each about 60 seconds or so, and I'm looking for feedback. And we'll see if we can keep moving forward in some of that direction as well. All right. Yes, everyone's clamoring for Yuli, and hopefully we'll have him. He says he's ready to go here shortly.
Make sure, tell him to have his phone sideways.
I did. I said, get your phone set. I said, get it stationary. I said, have good light and have good internet. I tried to give him all of it.
Is he still out on the West Coast? Or is he?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Marty asks, when will PLO coverage? It's funny because it's all edited with the exception of commentary. In fact, I just got a message from one Madison Walker, who I've talked about filling in and jumping on a microphone. So if Madison's down to help possibly even tomorrow, PLO coverage may be coming out any day now. It's ready except for commentary. So I'd love to sit down and do some commentary with Madison. That would be great.
Disc Golf Nerd says, you guys are selling for next gen. Yeah, we discussed that.
At the opening of the show.
Opening of the show. We will be there. Terry flies out
Wednesday or Thursday.
I've actually got all of the live equipment that we got from the Pro Tour finale here, and so Terry's going to grab what he needs before he heads out, and we will be doing live.
Oh, there you go. Is Pete a carpenter? I know Pete does that type of stuff, and I know he's helped build houses.
Correct.
I don't know if that's his full-time thing, but again, we can ask Yuli once he joins us. I guess one of the questions would be, do you think I would be, I randomly guess distances all the time when I'm out there commentating.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
it's not a guess? It's an estimate. Let's put it that way. It's
okay. Do you think I could maybe fill in as a volunteer on the Pro Tour to do live scoring?
You could.
Do you think I could get set up a Patreon account for that? so I can
Terry's
travel
live scoring
to the Pro Tour events and be a live scorer?
No.
That's a damn good idea.
I don't think you could set up a Patreon for that. I mean, you could.
You could.
But I'm just saying, I don't think anyone's going to give you.
But I would commit to doing 1 round of FPO in the morning, 1 round of MPO in the afternoon, and I would be, have
another phone just for your own Twitter feed.
Oh my gosh. Now we're thinking some next level stuff. You guys keep bringing it. 100%. You could be a live scorer. Seth from the Pro Tour tells me. Good to know that hopefully I could be useful in that capacity. That's a good idea. I like it. Man, live scoring. I see Daniel Reynoso out on the board as well, hustling some. Make sure everyone, as you know, next year when you do renew for the PDG, I know we talked about it earlier, go out, get it done. And with that, I believe you are then also going to get a Disc Golf Pro, a UDisc app pro membership for anyone that is becoming a PDGA member. All right, Sean says, Terry, you could do secret live snarky commentary. I like that.
Well, we do that already behind the scenes.
That would be good. And to further the point though earlier when we talked about us doing what we'll do on the weekends, I mean, after we got done last week, we went out to Facebook. I had directed you toward a buddy's, his son, who is in a football program, and they were doing live broadcasting.
Yeah.
And we looked at that production and we said, we could do that.
Certainly could.
I mean, I'm going to say we were better than what that production was. Bowling, football games, basketball games. The sky's the limit for us. I would love to cover a spelling bee. Seriously, why not?
Commentary on a spelling bee. Wow.
I would be bad at that, but just the idea of covering a spelling bee, that sounds fun. You know, maybe a market we haven't tapped into is find people who are trying to set Guinness World Records, but cover the attempt live. Because I'm sure, lots of them are filmed and there's media around them, but cover their attempts live. I think that's a niche market that I just thought of. Guinness World Record attempts live. I don't know. I got to keep thinking.
Ronald Harkey says he hates to sound like a broken record, but when are we going to get Joe Chargoloff on Smashbox?
Oh, good call.
We should reach out to him soon.
Okay.
That's your job.
All right. Hey, Joe. All right. So Yuli says he's ready when we are. If you have his Skype, let's hit him up.
I do happen to have his
Let's
Skype.
do it.
All right.
I hear something in the digital green room. I don't see anything, but I hear something.
Yeah, as soon as he hits that little, there he is.
There he is. It looks like he's got.
There we go. Let's bring him on. One of our favorite guests, if not our favorite guest. The one. Yeah, I just insulted every other guest we have.
Ouch.
Because Yuli, I don't know. You have to be 1 and 2 with Simon, dude. Simon's always so much fun, but you're right up there, man.
I don't rank you guys that high. All right.
Wow.
We don't rank you that high.
Yeah. Eat it, Miller.
All right. So all we really cared about talking to you is, what does your brother do full time?
Oh, what does he do full time? He's a dad, pretty much. He just dads it up.
Okay, that's what I thought. And again, obviously, I had said he's insanely talented. You said that. I've echoed that. I loved spending time with him and interacting with him and learning more about him and some of the stuff he does just a couple weeks ago in Phoenix. But I thought, like full-time right now is Ashton, right? Is your nephew? Asher, sorry. Thank you. He full-time dad. And, I mean, he's got a brilliant, amazing wife that's a engineer at Boeing.
Yeah.
Okay. So they know a thing or two at that house.
That cuts it.
Yeah. About flying things.
Yeah, exactly. And I told Johnny one of the conversations that me and your brother got into, which was way too early at 8 a.m. for me, is he was talking to me about physics of flight and physics of discs and other things. And it was all awesome. I just not sure my head was fully attached and ready for it all at 8 a.m.
Really? 8 in the morning.
Is that Asher?
What's that?
Asher was talking to you about that stuff?
No, your brother was, but he probably could have been. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think there's a time that you would be able to deal with the true physics of flight. I don't care, 8 a.m., 8 p.m.
No, true. It didn't matter, but it was a good talk. So, all right, Yuli. Well, we got to start with the basics. Where are you, and who you playing frisbee golf for next year? Oh wait, yeah.
Oh, whoops. He's still got a Prodigy shirt on for those that can't see.
Okay.
I'm in Washington, Seattle.
Seattle, Washington. All right.
Mm-hmm. And who am I playing for next year?
Yeah.
Is there any news?
Because last time you were on, you said you were a free agent.
Oh.
That was the last thing you had told us. And there's all sorts of rumors on the internet.
Oh gosh, I believe them all.
Are you joining that company that Paul and Ricky are forming?
Oh yeah, that's the one. We're all opening that one together.
Nice.
So this is a serious question. It might be the only one of the night.
Okay.
If Paul Macbeth and Ricky Wysocki started a company tomorrow, and you were brought in on that company in literally any capacity, any title in the world, what would you want your title and role to be? If they were starting a disc golf company, they were the two owners. They were 50-50 owners, but we're bringing you in. Said, Yuli, you're hired. Name your role and describe what you would do. Oh my God, what a great question.
That's a trick question. You're trying to get these two mad at me, is what you're saying.
No, not at all. I mean, you could say Kenny and Barry. You could say anyone.
I feel like I have a pretty good presence in front of people and stuff, and I'm pretty well spoken. So I think maybe they would bring me in for something like that. It's not like they're shy in front of the camera or anything, but I feel like maybe something like that, some sort of
PR,
some sort of leadership role or something in the company, I guess.
Okay. Would you think about maybe starting up like a live streaming business within that company? Stream disc golf? No,
disc golf stream.
I don't know what you're talking about, but probably. They'd probably want me to go on tour and then run the company, so I can get all those big wins.
Okay.
Okay.
Good call.
Okay, fair enough. So some kind of leadership / maybe PR, but leadership role of sorts.
Yeah, I'm guessing, because they're going to be busy playing all the big tournaments and all. They need somebody to hold down the fort, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, you have free reign to do whatever role you want. Maybe that includes travel. Maybe it doesn't.
You could be treasurer. You could be, marketing. You could be injection molding guy.
You could be head of recreation, where you take all the other employees out and you guys play basketball. You hoop it up, I think they say.
Yeah, that's what the kids say.
Those first sound like really interesting job offers you're giving me in hypothetical land. I appreciate that, guys.
Wow. I am a fan to see that you have the No Shave November going on. It's
going good. It's going really well.
Yeah, it is. All right, so great. So you're in Washington, and we always talk about the road warrior you've been. Then you said you're not going to be, but then you end up being. But here we are. We're in Washington. You're in Washington. It's middle of November. Where is the next time you are throwing disc competitively?
That'll be next year.
Wow. All right. That's a big break for you.
Something like maybe like the winter time. Is that where you would start out, or maybe sooner than that?
January 4th through the 6th, I think, is when the Maricopa. No. Is the Shelly Sharp is on the somewhere in there. I'm going to play the Shelly Sharp. Will be my first tournament of the year.
Okay. Yeah, Maricopa is the 24th through the 26th.
Yeah.
I think I'll be seeing you there.
Mm-hmm. But Shelly Sharp will be my first tournament of the year.
All right. What do you see yourself focusing on in the next few weeks, mentally or physically?
I've been in the gym every day, working on my health, just like pretty much everybody right now. It's crazy. There's not a lot of time to work on that during the season. It's tough with our scheduling and stuff, playing every weekend with my scheduling, playing every weekend and stuff. And so it's like, I guess the off season is kind of my time to get into shape so that I can slowly get out of shape through the year. But yeah, that's really what I'm working on right now. I have a few things that I'm, working on with my game and stuff for next year, but not really.
Okay, well, Sean on the board says, what type of exercises are you working on? Is there something that's tailored to you, or do you just go do what you feel is best? Or, we see a lot of people working with Seth over at Disc Golf Strong. Is there any kind of regimen for yourself?
Jazzercise?
Little aerobics, jazzercise, water polo?
Trying to get rid of that tummy?
Yeah, a lot of core exercises for sure, a lot of cardio, more body weight than anything. And then this off season, I've been really working on timing. So different timing exercise like running stairs, just hand to feet, like timing exercises mostly. Try to get a little bit, better off the tee and get my body working with, from the ground up.
So speaking of timing, I think it was just yesterday I saw on the Instagrams, Eagle McMahon learning to juggle. Do you see? I mean, I know of the James Conrads, incredibly talented and gifted, and Hosfeld, of course. But when you think or see something like that, A, can you juggle, and B, could you see an advantage to working on something like that, and how it could help your game in the big picture?
Oh, absolutely. I think hand-eye coordination is like super important, especially when it comes to putting. I noticed that James does that. I think, Matt Dollar, I've seen juggle in the past, and Simon can juggle. Seems like all really good putters. So I think that kind of go hand in hand. But I mean, I'm 30 years old. Of course I can juggle. Like, what kind of question is that?
Can you juggle, Terry?
No,
me neither.
People try to learn how to juggle. Like, at some point in time, you guys have tried to juggle, right?
Sure. I'm sure as a kid, I maybe tried it a couple times and then was like,
and you did it. It's like
probably.
Well, I mean,
know. I'm not juggling like 5 balls at a time, but I can do your regular 3-ball juggle. I mean.
Well, and it's funny because I as I watched probably longer than I needed to, I watched Simon. Sorry, I watched Eagle's attempt, and he clearly was trying to master it. And I mean, he's 20, 21. He doesn't have it down yet.
I'm sure I'm not gonna be like juggling for like 5 straight minutes, but I think I could do it for a couple minutes.
I think you should show us.
Not even a couple minutes. I'm sure I could get them in the air and catch them all.
That's the easy part.
You continue to back away from your bold statement here. I wonder if
I just clearly remember being able to juggle. So it's not like I'm backing away. I mean, it's probably been 15 years since I tried.
Well, I
juggle.
think right now is when you should try. Well, there's got to be something right there within arm's reach. You could get up and find a couple of tennis balls or golf balls or knives or something.
There's nothing right away that I can see.
We'll wait. We'll wait.
How about this? How about I pop you a little video tomorrow?
Okay. There you go.
I'll send it over.
I like that. That's a good follow-up.
Ooh, that would be good.
You want to call me out right now?
That's
you.
I'm good with that. All right. So
like I said, 3-ball juggle. I'm not getting all crazy with the tricks, but
we're ready. We will gladly post it right here on Smashbox as well. Repost it for you. So pretty crazy. We have to talk about the continuation of players and movements, and when we logged off on Tuesday versus coming back in this week, the number 2 player in the world has an announcement that he's not re-signing. I mean,
sure.
The madness continues. What do you make of it? And who are you playing for next year?
Well, I can't speak for Ricky.
Okay.
And I can't really speak for myself till next year. So.
All right. Well, that seems like you're dodging the question.
Here's a question. And do you know of any other players, you have an inside scoop with all these guys, that other people aren't thinking about that will be moving. Do you have again, you have to give no clues, just a yes or no. Do you have any inside sauce, someone flying under the radar that is going to move?
It's a good question.
I know.
And what are their initials?
I mean, there's definitely going to be movement for sure. There's definitely going to be movement, but I mean, as high of a caliber as no, nobody in the top 10 that I see making crazy moves.
Okay.
Also,
besides what I know already.
Okay, and I was going to say, also to follow it up, in all fairness, since last week, announced that Nate Sexton is remaining, and we just mentioned a moment ago,
agreement.
Paige Bjerkes, maybe a little less surprising than some of the others, but Paige Bjerkes signs a 2-year deal. She's obviously remaining, so those are pretty solid developments that maybe weren't surprising.
Absolutely, but yeah, not surprising in the least that Sexton's staying there and taking on that leadership role with being team captain and stuff. I think that's an awesome move by Innova, and obviously there's really no better person to represent your company in that manner. So,
what does the team captain do?
I think he's just somebody that you look to for leadership, and maybe with some disciplinary acts or something like that, he'd probably be the person to let somebody know or check in on you, or if you're struggling, somebody that you can look to, just a team captain.
Okay,
he's your captain.
I mean, they have to get that little C patch on their.
Yeah, if he's not wearing that for every event,
yeah,
I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
How are we gonna know who the captain is?
Yeah,
if he doesn't
no kidding.
Have a captain
I know.
badge?
Like, he doesn't even have a C in his name. I mean, yeah. So you've traveled. You've I think you consider yourself.
Anyway.
Wait, he does? Nate Sexton?
What? Yeah.
What? Is there something I don't know? You've
You don't know
traveled
his middle name.
and experienced life with one Nico LaCastro, and I kind of just pulling his name out of thin air, but he's a player that hasn't been sponsored.
Where's this going?
That's what I want to know.
No, this is going with. We talk about all of these. We talk about sponsorships. We talk about teams, and yet I'm assuming, and maybe I'm incorrect, but I'm assuming we may see one of the best players in the world, one of the more winning players, one of the most dynamic players, one of the most followed and noted players in Nico LaCastro, but probably not another year. Probably another year without a primary disc sponsorship. Hot take on that. What do you got? I mean, is that crazy? Is that crazy in today's?
No, not at all. Not at all, because and I don't think it would be any problem for him to pick up a sponsorship with these companies, no matter what anybody's saying. Like, they'd be able to make out some sort of agreement for him to play for one of these companies for sure. That's what a contract's for. He's had his whatevers in the past, but I think he's too good of a player not to give a chance to, with any, and he has played for almost every company. But I think it comes down to, his uncle, Dave, owns Gateway, and I know that he's been spending, a lot of time with him and working on some new things. And I mean, that just makes the most sense to me for him. If I was him, I think, that's probably where my loyalty would be with family as well. So.
Yeah, and again, I'm thinking about all the moves that are taking place, and then I think, are we going to see another year of Nico not with a manufacturer, one individual, heavy hitting manufacturer, and the follow up to that really is the support that you guys are getting, our top players, what the support you are now getting on a week in and week out basis, whether it's signature disc and tour discs and stipends and travel funds and blah, 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 entry fees. Nico doesn't seem to have that. And that's a lot of money being left on the table.
Well, I don't know. I can't vouch for Nico or what he's doing, but he has his Fly Life company and he goes through multiple companies for that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I know for a fact that, he's living in St. Louis and he has a really good relationship with his, his brother and his uncle and things like that. So I think Gateway is probably where we'll see him end up. And they have that open bag policy with him as well. I'm not so sure that he's actually sponsored by Gateway, but I do know there is some sort of support going there, whether it's, emotional support or money, anything like that. So I don't think that he's out there just like, not getting anything from anybody.
Oh, and I know that he works with a number of companies and obviously has a brand and should be, garnering support from a lot of different people. It's interesting. He has to be one of the highest rated players without a sole specific large time, sponsor. So anyway,
Yeah,
kind of randomly thinking as we're shifting around from, sponsor
and I
talk to sponsor talk.
Out of all the players, this last year at the beginning of the year, I called Kevin Jones being, the up and comer for last year, and that definitely proved to be the point. And this next year, I honestly see Nico coming back and winning a couple big tournaments, just from what I saw at the end of this last year, and just with and just where just seeing his game kind of trend and him maturing as a player as well. I think, like you said, he's been one of the most dynamic players for a very long time. And, I think his putter has really held him back over the last couple of years. And I think with, that might just be that's just a really small hurdle for him to jump over, because he's one of we all kind of talk about this on tour, but he's one of the greatest practice putters out there. You sit there and watch him warm up or something, and he'll make 10, 15 putts from distance in a row. He's making like Ricky Wysocki distance putts in a row. And then for some reason, that hasn't translated necessarily in a long time to his game on the course. But when that does, like, he's got everything it takes. Like, I've said this before, as far as talent, he's probably the most talented player out there, as far as being able to slow his arm speed down, shape shots, touch with a putter, distance. He worked on his sidearm this last year. Like, he's talented, and he makes a lot of putts, like I said, in practice. So he gets all that together and matures a little bit, mentally. Sky's the limit for that kid.
I couldn't agree more.
He's in really great shape as well. It's not like his body's deteriorating. He's my age, and I'm,
he's twice as ripped as you.
Fit he is. Yeah, how fit he is, for sure. Like, that's something that I strive for, is to be in shape, and it's tough, getting older. We all know that, but he's maintained a very healthy body for a long time.
Yeah, I remember we asked Macbeth many years ago who was the most in shape player on tour, and he said it was Nico, hands down.
Yeah,
like, it's just, the guy is
he's
very
ripped,
very well put together.
Anything on the FPO side in terms of shakeups or surprises? I mean, somebody had just asked. I know we do focus, of course. We talk a lot about what we're seeing on the MPO side in terms of transitions and contract negotiations and whatnot. I'm going to go out there and throw and just, I don't know if it's a big surprise. I know there's been conversation swirling around our 2012 world champion, Sarah Hokum. I know that, obviously it's old news that we saw Valerie make her transition last year, but then essentially not play much this year. And then one says, okay, well, does that provide more room for possibly a different woman or multiple women to step onto a team Discraft, or shift from any other teams? Is there any news or shakeups that maybe have already been officially confirmed? Paige Pierce a couple weeks ago said, yes, I'm again with Dynamic Disc. Not all too surprising to most, probably, but anything else jump out at you?
No, I the same rumors as everybody. I heard Holcomb might be moving to a different manufacturer, but that's all kind of hearsay at this point, so you're not getting anything from me.
You picked Kevin Jones last year for the men, do you have any insight on any up and coming female players? Have you? I don't know if you've had the time to actually watch or kept your ear to the ground at all.
No, that's a good question. I haven't. It's tough because there's a lot of great European women who play very well over there, so that's not really up and coming. I haven't been able to really get a look at who's really coming up in the am side of things, which is I believe there's the sisters out of Texas,
Mundahandos.
Yep, the Mendahandos, and I've seen just from what I've seen on social media and the posts that they've made that their form looks really, really good. And I know that they work really hard.
One of them is the Am World Champion, correct?
Well, they each have.
Oh,
one
this
has this year's Am World Champion. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so I think just form wise, watching those two play and progress, I think that that's some of the future right there.
For sure. And then obviously young guns, as people are saying on the board. We've seen Rebecca Cox really come into her own these last couple of years. We've seen her do some shifting in sponsorship. She was, I think she's had sponsorship from both Latitude and Discraft. Haley King, another one that's being mentioned right now. Haley King, not far from where we live, of course, sponsored by Discraft, and she had made a comment on a post I made a few days ago saying that she was going to be renewing with Discraft as well. So
that's great. She's a really good young up and comer. She throws. She crushes.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that name as well.
Yeah, Cynthia Ricciardi, who had won Am Worlds a Junior Worlds title, sponsored by Dynamic Disc. I believe she's just 15 or 16. Certainly a really solid player as well. And I think we're going to see big things from her as she continues to tour and travel a little bit more as she obviously gets a little bit older. That silly high school stuff getting in the way. And that's actually a concern of Haley's. Haley has struggled with, the idea if she wants to golf, and, that pesky high school
Finish
stuff.
high school.
is something that's there. So,
but here's a general question. Speaking about how young Haley is, what, Paul, do you think is the prime age for the disc golf career? Like, if you had to pick a 2 to 3 year period where you think this is where if I could just hover in this age with this skill set and this mentality, where would you like to just think would be a great place to sit?
Man, that's one of the great things about disc golf is that varies. You see somebody like, Paul and Ricky have tremendous success in their early 20s. Eagle, I don't even know if he's in his 20s yet, is he?
I think he's 20 right now, maybe 20
or
or 21.
So 20. You see a lot of people have success like that, but then there's people like Sexton who had his best season ever last year, and he's
40 or 55.
Yeah.
He's like 30. He's in his 30s for sure, like 33 or something like that. So it differs from person to person for sure.
How about for yourself? I mean,
this past year has been a very, very good year for you.
Yeah, are your best years yet to come, or?
I believe so. For sure. I think mentally, I'm in a good place, and I think I took a little hiatus there in the middle of my career. Was struggling with a lot of personal issues and things like that, and I think this last year, especially towards the end of the year, I was really able to find just who I am as a disc golfer, which is, stuff outside of disc golf. It's tough to be able to cut ties and just perform. And I was able to do that very well at the end of this last year. So there's no doubt that I'm going to have great years to come for sure. In my mind, I feel great. My work ethic and my my want to be better each year. So I don't think that my best years are behind me. And I even heard whispers of that last year at the beginning of the year that, I was kind of not playing to what I expected to, or what other people were expecting to, and it was nice to finish the year with strong performances.
Yeah, we saw Barry have success in his late 20s, early 30s, and now he has still maintained that really solid player rating and is a very dominant force in Masters, but on top of that can still come up to the Open and compete any particular weekend. And Barry is in his mid to upper 40s, I think. Yeah.
And we had this conversation before, but I think with the courses getting harder, it's just going to help somebody like Barry.
Yeah.
Because he can throw it in bounds and make putts, and if you can do that, you can compete with anybody, especially somebody of their caliber. I mean, he's still like 1030 something rated, I think, or 1025 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of getting old and their best years behind them, did you see the post by PDGA 4666 today?
I did. And I had to support my boy over there in California. I mean, I know that's a decision that he struggled with, and he said he would never do it. And
never. He said he would never play Masters.
Him and Avery have both said in the past they will never play Masters.
That's just silly to me. That's just a silly thing.
I agree. You play where your best chance is to make the most money, whether it's Masters in first place, Masters in third place, or Open in fifth place. Like, I'm serious, because you look at the field as a Masters player, I think, as that age, and you go, where do I compete best? Not necessarily, I know everyone wants to win, but at some point you have to think, where am I best going to be able to maintain my touring season? And I know that's not the case for Rico, because he has everything with legacy going on, but I think we're going to get to that point where some of these players, when they hit 40, maybe, your generation will have to look at that and go, okay, where can I make the most money? We've got a bunch of guys in Masters. We got a bunch of guys in Open. Where do I compete right now?
Yeah. And you're there, they and we as just a group of professional disc golfers, we're all going to always have the USDGC, which is an open tournament, and you'll be able to prove yourself there as well. Like Barry's made a few runs at that in the last few years since he's been a Masters player, and come really close. We saw Johnny McRae, as a Masters player, and Patrick Brown as a Masters player make runs at that title. So, there's no shame in playing Masters. There really isn't. It's that person themselves, how they feel about it, and that's something that we just can't judge, because, Steve Rico is going to be a Hall of Famer, like, no doubt about that. And he knows himself as a player more than anybody. And because in order to have the wins that he does and the prestige that he does and all the accolades, like, that's him knowing himself as a player. So if he's playing Masters, it's a decision that it wasn't just like forced on him. He had to think about it, and he made the best decision for him, which is all we can do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see as it unfolds, and as we all know, with the way
he's 40?
he turns.
I thought he was older than that. How long has he been eligible?
He's not 40. He is 39. He turns 40 on January 1st. His birthday is, if I recall, January 1st. So he's getting right in on that come next year. Yeah. So yeah, is that right? Does that make sense? Yeah, he's 39 right now. He turns 40 exactly on January 1st.
I was surprised that Patrick Brown's 50.
Yeah,
exactly.
That guy found the fountain of youth somewhere.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Yeah.
He's 50.
It is incredible. So, quick question that I don't know if we ever did address. I know it was brought up a week or two ago on the Facebooks, and maybe it was in the last week. I don't honestly even recall. But here's the quick question is, should the Disc Golf Pro Tour offer a Masters division?
No.
Okay, I agree.
Good. Me too.
All right, done. That was fun.
Easy decisions.
Yeah, we're not there.
Fire those Masters.
Yeah, look at us go.
Yeah, exactly. And I even wrote and said when I replied to someone, I said, this coming from a Masters age player who's eligible, of course, to then play, and who's been at every single Pro Tour stop, who's also been on the media side. No, we're not there. It's not needed. We have bigger fish to fry, bigger things to focus on, and having another division that will want the spotlight on that weekend when we don't have enough spotlight to spread on the existing players to then spread that spotlight out even further is just going to disappoint people. So I'm fully in favor of it. Is that anywhere along your logic?
Yeah.
Or do you have something totally different? Or you just think they're old?
There's just no, like you said, there's just to promote them as well. It's just not there yet. There's not enough to go around.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So also in Disc Golf Pro Tour news, I mean, you were kind of jokingly or seriously sending me a few messages. What did you hear? And what did you comprehend as to how tonight went down?
I didn't hear. I didn't hear what went down. I just kind of came in. I looked at some of the messages on your guys' live feed and kind of got updated via that. So I was actually curious myself.
Okay, so the long and short of it is that Steve Dodge has decided that he will not use Smashbox to provide the live coverage next year. That Steve Dodge is going to have cameramen and crews and show switchers and all of those components. He's going to have those all in-house under the Pro Tour umbrella, and that is how he's going to move forward with live and post-production for the Disc Golf Pro Tour next year. So
does that mean like no Central Coast, no Jomez?
According to Corey Merle, that is at this point that is the case. Steve had said he has something out to Jomez, and I don't know what that all entails, but ultimately at this point it appears that is the case, that everything will be put on the Pro Tour page. One central location to find it.
Not one Central Coast location.
Not one Central Coast.
It's interesting. It's an interesting play by Steve. If that's the case, because here's the thing. So
you can be honest with us, Yuli. We're all friends here.
No, for sure. No, for sure. So I get what Steve's doing, for sure, because we're gonna have to play it, no matter what. Like we're gonna have to be there. People are going to want to watch it. People would rather watch Jomez and Central Coast and Smashbox. That's what they would rather watch. But if it's not there, then they can't.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, do I think that's the right play? I think the more the better, especially at this point. The more avenues you can get this coverage to, the better. So I don't think it's the right decision, but I understand it. I understand what he's doing. It's a little power move by Mr. Steve.
And for the tour that he's started, owns and runs and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I get it, I mean, for sure. But his Pro Tour was made bigger by these assets that we just talked about. So, I mean, it is what it is. But
I mean, there's definitely
that's a fact. So he's cutting ties on some things that you probably shouldn't cut ties with, but at the same time, it is what it is, you know.
And maybe this isn't the right way to look at it. At some point, maybe you think about it and you think this had to happen for Steve. If it got really big and he felt, oh, wow, look at all this revenue I'm missing out on by not having it on my page, because there are 5 production companies showing up now and they're all putting it on each separate page. And there's, FPO 2 and 3 are being covered. If this is in 10 years, when is the right time to cut that cord? Do you cut it now and say, okay, I need to get this under control now? Because if it does explode and blow up, I want to have control of it.
I see where Steve's coming from for sure, and that's just me hearing it just now and kind of taking it in. So I have a few ideas that are rambling around, but it's tough. I totally see where he's coming from. There's no doubt about that. Like, he can pretty much he can do what he wants at this point.
Of course, and to be clear, we obviously completely understand where he's coming from as well, and I don't want anyone to think like, oh, Smashbox guys just don't get it. No, we totally get it. Obviously, we're disheartened that we're not involved in the same way, in the same capacity, but we understand the business of it. And, you brought up an interesting point by saying some of these assets or these crews have helped the Pro Tour with some of the exposure. That exact same statement can be flipped on its head and say, well, these crews exist and have also gained because the Pro Tour has created the infrastructure that it has. I mean, there's been a very... Yeah.
Yeah, everyone grows together. Jomez wouldn't be as big as he was if he didn't have the opportunity the last 3 years to hit every stop a week.
And that's why I kind of, backed off on that a little bit, is because it's both ways for sure. And it's just, like I said, I understand it, and I can't say either way. The tough part is, Jomez and Central Coast have such a big following that I worry that some people, won't support the Pro Tour because of this. I worry. That's a worry for sure, because they
fans.
Have
are you talking fans
audience.
or are you talking sponsors?
Fans and sponsors. They want Jomez for sure. They want their businesses to be on the most popular, media crew, which right now is Jomez, hands down. They do the best job. It's that's who the best is right now. So I don't know, man. It's tough. It definitely. I hope he can do a good job. I hope Steve can find the right people to fill those roles.
Absolutely, and of course we hope, because we all know that if that continues to succeed and the Pro Tour and media coverage in general continues to succeed, even if it is all within in-house of the Pro Tour, that just creates more opportunities all around for everybody.
Here's another thought. Okay. And this just came to me. So say they come out with their live coverage and their post coverage with who they choose to do. This is a legitimate thing that could happen. And I guess a new fear to me would be the Pro Tour has worked up this prestige through the media, through all this stuff, okay? Then they come out with a second tier media coverage. That's more people are going to be hyped about national tours and majors again than they are Pro Tours. So it's going to make them, it seemed like for this year, it was like national tours and Pro Tours, there wasn't a big difference. Now there's going to be a difference. What that difference is, I don't know what yet, because we haven't seen what kind of production they're going to come out with. So hopefully it'll be good enough to replace that. Otherwise, that would be a fear of mine.
Understandably. And
lose its prestige.
And in asking Steve just that, I mean, Steve obviously, when I asked him something of that nature, he said, we want to meet or exceed all existing expectations. He's certainly not signing on saying, yeah, we're gearing up for 2019 and we're ready to take a huge step backwards before we leap forward. He's not saying that. He wants to start off right where he is and be at that point and beyond. Obviously, that's the right mentality, and as you're saying, or maybe you're worried or concerned about, is he going to start off at that spot? Will he be able to just simply move forward? And And all I can say is we all hope that that's exactly what happens, because there's no one that benefits by him or the tour or media not succeeding. There's no one.
Mm-hmm.
No one, there's no Vegas odds on somebody betting against media coverage not succeeding. So there's no benefit to that happening for it not to be successful. It's just going to be a matter of when and how long. And like you said, will it momentarily deter people from watching? Will other crews or other organizations be able to get right on par or even exceed? I mean, the bars have been set.
Where are they going to go? There's going to be other tournaments, and are we going to want to go play those tournaments?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you just committed to a full year of B and C tiers live with Smashbox. So we're following you. I don't know what all these other guys are doing, but we're following you.
Trying to get those wins,
we're right there, live.
You rack them up like Schwebby.
Do you think your mom would just underwrite our full year of touring? Should we ask her to sponsor it? Say we will cover
Pat.
Paul at every B and C tier, but it's going to cost. That's a good idea.
I'm sure she would try her best.
All right, Yuli. I know it's kind of a now you're up to speed in that sense, but and it's been kind of a crazy week with these continuing announcements. And if someone like yourself, namely Paul Ulibarri, if you were to announce any changes or continuations, thank you. When might that come from someone like yourself?
I'm under contract till 2019.
Okay.
So I'm
January 1st. We'll call you.
I'm a Prodigy player
until
till 2019. I'm going to promote Prodigy, and but that's just what I'm going to do. So.
All right.
Excellent.
I'll call you. I don't know. That morning. That night.
Okay.
I think the 1st is a Tuesday.
Duh.
Right. So
Tuesday.
I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to look this up. Now you've got me excited thinking about it.
I thought New Year's Day was a Tuesday.
You are right. New Year's Day.
Hmm.
Oh, Johnny's got one right tonight. Check the box.
I'm good. Retire.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We do appreciate your time. We love having you. You know you're welcome anytime. It's even better when you're we can gab about just about anything in the after show. We love it. We love your candid responses and all your insider info. And
Green Bay, Seattle.
Yeah. It should I'll be in your state. I'll be in Arizona Thursday night, taking in the game, probably from out in Fountain Hills. I was just at Lambeau 2 days ago, taking in that game against the old Dolphins. And
you're doing the next gen.
I will be doing the next gen,
cool.
and I so by Thursday night I'll be out in Fountain Hills, and I'll be able to take in the game, and pretty excited.
How long are you going to be out there for? Just through the weekend?
Just till Sunday, and then Sunday night I'm meeting up with my buddy, and then we're flying to Australia for a couple weeks.
Oh.
Yeah. So, little Australian Disc Golf Championships action to go cover that. Smashbox, I guess we're not quite going international, but if I go live from there next Tuesday, Smashbox will officially be international.
Wow.
All right,
Big
buddy.
News.
Yeah, good stuff.
Big news for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. It was
Okay.
good. All right, see you guys.
See you later, Yuli.
All right, later, Yuli.
All
righty.
That
guy.
What a great guy.
I'm calling it the Paul Ulibarri Smashbox Tour next year. Every weekend, Yuli live all the time. We get a camera on his bag. We get a camera on his throw, a camera on his catch, a snack camera. We get him fully covered.
Would Dodge let us do live coverage on the third card of MPO if with our own sponsors?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like if we said, hey, we know you got MPO 1 and 2.
Yeah, you got him covered.
But MPO 3 is where it's at.
Yeah.
And then we pay players to try to get on.
Yep. Be like, hey,
just miss one more putt.
It'd be great. I like that. Steve Dodge reached out saying thanks for thank you for the well-led questions. So glad to have you, Steve, and thank you for
stepping in.
and stepping out of the Smashbox. And my kids would like to thank you for community college instead. Now they said that.
Oh, they're not making community college.
Not anymore. We couldn't. We almost could afford that. Now we can't. All right, I think we can call it. It's been a long enough week for sure. Unless there's anything on the board, I haven't seen anything pop up lately. Lots of chatter. We appreciate you guys all chiming in, providing some great questions. We saw, of course, some love and support out there. I'll say the same thing. We as far as even when the USDGC had made their very official announcement, we want all disc golf media to succeed, whether that directly or indirectly involves us. We want it all to succeed. Me as a 27-year player, Johnny as almost the same, as guys that have been so involved with the sport. It's all still very exciting, and don't think that you only are going to get us on Tuesday nights. There's going to be a lot more to it, and I think this continues to open up ideas, opportunities, and maybe further developments that possibly we weren't looking at or thinking of earlier. And we're excited for the creativity from tournament directors, sponsors, and people like yourselves. Maybe we just go on tour and, maybe we just do a traveling podcast every Tuesday night. That makes up for some of the travels that we're not doing. Tuesday,
yeah.
Like if you want your league filmed live, I mean,
where better?
Yeah, I don't know why
than Smashbox.
You wouldn't have us for that. So
yeah. Your frequent flyer miles might take a little hit.
Yep. They just might. Who knows? I got all sorts of things.
Who knows?
We're going to call it. We want to thank Paul Ulibarri, of course, for joining us in the after show. We want to thank all of you who followed along, tagged along, and interacted with us during both the regular show as well as here on the YouTube chat. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate the hugs, the love, the support, super chat, all of it. We're going to be fine. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to do big things. And we're excited for the Disc Golf Pro Tour in 2019, and we're excited for all things disc golf, even if that's not a website anymore. So for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we love you guys. We appreciate it. That's been 221's After Show. We'll see you from Australia next week when you step inside the Smashbox.